Explore your islands and Cayman Airways. Call them on 949-2311 to book your nonstop flights to Los Angeles and Panama. And now, Barbados. And Digicel, Cayman's bigger, better network. And Doctors Hospital. Peace of mind is important when life happens. Doctors Hospital, always there for you. Call 949-6066.
Oh, I think they're doing a great job. A lot of them are.
Good afternoon, Dwayne. How are you?
Not too bad, sir.
Ladies and gentlemen,
Radio Cayman's Talk Today with Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
But I do have some questions.
There are more questions than answers.
Radio Cayman's Talk Today. If you're ready to talk, we're willing to listen.
Well, I really enjoy this program today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
May God bless every person.
Hey, welcome. Another terrific, thoughtful Thursday's edition of Talk Today as we invite you to be a part of the discussion. And then if you're on any of our channels where you can see the images, well, we got both Mr. Ellio and Mr. Raymond Singh sitting with us a bit. Mr. Singh will join us for a bit just to share some good things that will be transpiring this evening. And then Ellio and myself, we can sing the songs of praises that sends good signals to our community. So join us for more Talk Today.
Radio Cayman's Talk Today, the Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program. We ask our listeners to avoid statements or comments which are abusive, derogatory, malicious, or defamatory. Do not use any indecent language or make any statement which is false or misleading. Email talktoday@candw.ky or call 1-800-534-8255.
Courtesy of Flow.
Cayman's #1 network that connects you to your world like never before.
Let your voice be heard. Once again, here's your host, Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, welcome back, and thanks for joining us, and thanks to Mr. Ellio Solomon for agreeing to accept the invitation to join us. Welcome, my friend. How are you?
I'm doing great, Dwayne. Pleasure to be here.
Thanks very much, and I appreciate you sitting with us for as long as your schedule allows, and for our good colleague, Mr. Raymond Singh, not only for hosting from time to time, not only him and a fantastic team in the sales department, but for sitting with us in a bit. I know you've got much on. As usual, you look smart, man. Smart little attire.
thank you. I'm not as smart as Mr. Ellio here. He's got the, the shiny blazer. Mine's just the sport coat.
Well,
so it's
gents, see, this is why you surround yourself by good
appreciate
people.
the compliment.
Yeah, man. And was that orange? No, probably blood orange. What color would you put that on the shirt there, man?
This is just that one of those oranges that makes you want to eat more food.
That explains the hunger pangs.
Well, you're going the billionaire style. You don't need the jackets. We know who the richest person in the room is because it's the person that, the most casually dressed individual, right?
Yeah, man.
That would be you,
They say dress makes the man, but boy, I believe in substance over style. But you guys look smart, so I'm glad for it, man. The smiles as well as the suits. And this evening, as you coming from it to share with us, it's about the spirit of festivity in Christmas and recognizing
absolutely.
and when it rains, I feel bad for my friends in the water sports because it may make the day that much more challenging for their boating adventures.
Damp is the day, to say that, pun intended.
You know what I'm saying? But then there is, if you look at it, there are always blessings from on high, and you adapt, you pivot, you adjust, you give thanks.
Absolutely. I mean, there's no easy way to run outdoor events during the last quarter of the year, right? We see Pirates Week every year, probably struggle. Every year it's like always hoping, keep the clouds away, and because a lot goes into running these events, and obviously I got to give a big shout out to Coca-Cola, who, it's not easy to reschedule an event of this magnitude when it's scheduled for an evening, and to have them push the Coca-Cola parade to Thursday and manage to pull it off. Kudos to them. It was a tough one with the weather. So the Christmas season, there's so many events going on, and I do like the Coca-Cola parade's now in its 4th year. So Radio Cayman joined as a partner 3 years ago to bring the broadcast and let people know what's going on with the parade, where it's at, its route. And I think for the most part, it's been a tremendous success for only 4 years old.
What's beautiful, I think, of all this, not just the logistics of scheduling, getting the team over AI to come on board, and all the, the logistics with the police allowing the safe escort, but having Raymond Singh as their MC to be able to have his people adjust his schedule. I mean, that's no easy feat, man. Especially now that we got Phoenix on. He's going to join you, right?
He is, yes. He's gonna be. He's been a junior elf on the parade for quite a number of years now, and he loves it. It's fun. Him and his buddy are on the float parade every year, and
all right. So
they
for
take
us
the
who are
time.
listening, what time is it going to start? Give us. I mean, tell us. So it's this evening, right?
It is this evening. So we are gearing up for a 5:45-ish start. Or we'll be landing at West Bay Fire Station. It starts at 5:30 up by the Turtle Center, by the Coca-Cola store up there. Then works its way down to West Bay Fire Station at 5:45, Governor's Beach, Cardinal Avenue, Windsor Park, Country and Western, and the South Sound Dock. You'll hear us live on the radio kind of giving updates of where the parade is on its route so that families can actually congregate at their relative locations without having to wait too long. But yeah, it's actually one of those really, if you've seen the parade, have you seen the parade yourself? Have you seen the parade, Ellio, yourself? Have you heard it?
Honestly, I don't even want to hazard to say because I have been, especially for the last couple of years, I have been doing my best to just stay home.
Be the hermit.
Get on the phone. I don't even read newspapers. Trust me. I'm trying to.
You're
trying to stay
detoxing
out
from the world.
Yeah,
Fair
I'm
enough.
trying to do that. That's one way to put it.
I share that sentiment many times over. This time of year, I tend to kind of come out of my hermit shell. I do enjoy the season. I was saying the other day, I was talking to Phoenix, and this is the one time a year where you see it's a collective public-private partnership. You have firms putting on Christmas events. You have community groups putting on Christmas events. And it's all these groups that come together, and it's under the same umbrella of having a jolly old good time and leave the politics, leave the toxicity, whatever it is, at the door for now.
Let me ask.
Stop the war, as you said before.
Let me ask. And this is something that when we look at the unfolding geopolitical landscape, if that's the terminology you want to use, the socio-economic implications of what transpires within your sphere, however we phrase and look at it, there's something that happens almost globally, whether it's a religious connotation, whether it's just, people are mentally and physically taxed, whatever it is. Let me ask both of you, allow me to put you on the spot. That observation that Ray just made, when do you see that starting, and when do you see that sort of culminating and coming to a close?
The actual pause of hostilities.
Perfect word. The pause, that taking a breath, the engagement in fellowship, libation, family food fund, those sorts of things. When do you see that starting to come into its own? Okay.
I thought you were going to ask him specifically when he thought that the politicians were going to put their swords in the sheath. That's what I thought.
No. I'm not
that
gonna,
wasn't what you were going to ask.
No, I'm not going to be that direct. Okay. No, I thought it was just generally.
Okay.
I'll leave that question for you.
You're going to answer the hard one.
Wait, hold on. He said when the politicians sheathe their swords, right?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm just making sure. She said we need a break. Okay. Mr. Singh, I know you got a lot of on. You have a quick second.
I can wait for it.
You can wait?
Yeah,
because
absolutely.
to see the smile of Susan, it's not often that we get to. So let's embrace it now. Everybody, face forward. Smile, Susan. Okay. When we come back, Ray will answer that question. Mr. Solomon, I'll also ask a response from you as well.
All right. Looking forward to hearing Ray, but yeah. Okay.
Join us right after, guys.
Jingle all the way into the season of incredible savings and wish granting with Digicel. This Christmas, get 25% off your Prime Bundle plan or postpaid bill for the next 6 months. With plans featuring social data, entertainment data, and more, Digicel keeps you connected and entertained all season long. But here's the real magic. Digicel could make your Christmas wish come true. Win a prize of your choice, from getting your rent paid to a new laptop or even a brand new car. Visit a Digicel store today, where dreams come true this holiday season.
Happy holidays and Merry Christmas. 'Tis the season to be merry and healthy in the Cayman Islands. At Doctors Hospital and Integra Healthcare, we're not just a hospital and clinic with a talented group of local and international healthcare professionals. We're your partners in well-being throughout the year. So may your holidays be filled with the soothing sounds of the ocean, the embrace of good health, and a commitment to a healthier tomorrow. From all of us at Doctors Hospital and Integra Healthcare, we wish you and your loved ones happy holidays and a wonderful new year.
Find your dream car with a Cayman National Vehicle Loan. Enjoy 100% financing, up to 8-year repayment, and a 7% fixed interest rate for the first 5 years. For eco-friendly cars, we'll waive your commitment fee. This only applies to new vehicles until December 31st, 2023. Call 949-8300 or email lending@caymanational.com today.
Santa says ho, ho, ho. Ho, ho, ho! Don't miss your chance to win big this holiday season with the Rubis Pure Joy promotion. Win $30,000 to pay your bills.
Merry Christmas!
Each time you top up your tank with $25 of fuel or merchandise from Jose's 24-hour food mart, you earn another stamp. Collect 6 stamps and you're entered to win a lot of awesome prizes. You could be the lucky winner of $30,000 to pay your 2024 bills. Don't forget to share the Christmas spirit with gift certificates your loved ones can use at Reflections, Liquor for Less, Hemp and Tobacco, Food for Less, or Jose's Rubis. Now open 24 hours a day to serve you.
Merry Christmas!
Wouldn't it have been grand if you had purchased land 30 years ago? It may not be 2020, but a perfect vision has never been more clear. Cayman Brac and Little Cayman, poised for growth with an eye on the future. Your land, your history, your future. Discover all that our sister islands have to offer.
On behalf of the Board of Trustees of the Cayman Islands Chamber of Commerce Pension Plan, we share our warmest wishes for the holiday season and a happy, healthy, prosperous, and blessed new year. Thank you for your continued support and business. We look forward to serving you in the upcoming year. For information as it happens, follow us on our social media channels, Facebook, LinkedIn, and Instagram, and visit our website, chamberpension.ky. The Cayman Islands Chamber of Commerce Pension Plan. We're here for you.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, welcome back, and it's going to be sort of an open line with sort of, guest host Ellio Solomon sharing from his intellect, insight, otherwise intriguing, commentary, and our good friend and colleague, Mr. Raymond, saying just inviting and reminding of the rescheduled Coca-Cola parade this evening. So I don't want to, take too much more of your time other than what you have to share.
Yeah.
But as we talk about the Coca-Cola event, I was placed on the table a question, and if you choose to answer, be rest assured what you say can will be held against you. But
sure. I think Ellio has the harder of the questions coming to him in a second, so I'll look forward to his answer.
Yeah.
But when does the actual tension cease and people kind of
start to enjoy themselves and let their hair down? And
I think we tend to procrastinate as much as possible, and we push it to the last possible minute. So 6 o'clock on Christmas Day, probably the when the actual the weight lifts off. I think that's as long as we actually.
Okay.
Because Christmas Eve, you got people out there still stressing about trying to get their shopping. Well, this year, though, I think we're going to... Christmas is on a Sunday this year, right? So it's... so you can imagine that Saturday is going to be absolute chaos, right?
Yeah. So around about that time, the day or two before Christmas, and then by Christmas Day, and then that pause, I like your word. We can borrow the US's word with their relative. Anyway.
But I think it carries over. I think we delay the restart of the hostilities until usually the 3rd or 4th day of January. I think that's when, because we kind of carry it for, unless you're traveling. If you're traveling, you're in the chaos.
Yeah, fair enough.
But if you're not traveling, you're we enjoy the festivities, and then New Year's resolutions kick in, and the brain chemicals start dying down, and we're not happy anymore, and off we go back to the fight.
And to you, Ellio with 2 L's, what says thou?
Well, first of all, I would draw on the fact that in a general way, I think most people, I remember when I was a civil servant, which I was for about 13 years, and I always felt, maybe the date has changed, but normally payday was around the 16th or something.
Mid-month.
Yeah.
Many companies do that.
I kind of felt like the world just ceased functioning at that. There was no longer any thought about work after government got paid. At least that's how I felt for 13 years, right?
Okay.
That would be one. And I know you want to ask me about the politics. Well, I think in fairness to politicians, and I'm not one right now, obviously, That's the challenge, right? You can never give it up. It almost reminds me of The Sopranos. You know, I try to get out, they just suck me in.
Yeah.
So now here I am, for example, in a talk show. But I think, in fairness to politicians, I think they try to be as a normal and get out there and do their Christmas thing. But once you're into politics, it's just never viewed that way. So if I shake a hand or if I say something, he's trying to win a vote, you know. So you're not really given much of an opportunity to relax. But in terms of specifically putting a sword into a sheath, I think it would probably be wise to never do that. You know, maybe they kind of hide the blade a little bit behind their backs, but you can never probably put it away completely.
Yeah.
You know, you never know when that Brutus will sneak up on you. Right on the steps.
At too brutal. Yeah. But and I appreciate both of your answers, right? And I'm always inspired by those who seek greatness, you know. What I say, you know, some are born great, some achieve greatness, and others have greatness thrust upon them, right? And in the Cayman context, I've always been cognizant that our seafarers endeavor to come home for Christmas. Like the country song, and I'll be home for Christmas, you know. There's so many that speaks to that desire to be home, because that's where your heart is. And at Christmas, the seafarers, if they miss Christmas, it was probably the worst thing. If they only came home for Christmas without bringing gifts, that was the greatest gift that they were here. We go back to the construction of the Flagler Railroad, and the documented historical record shows they came out in the catboats, they worked, they raised the sandflies, and they worked like unlike anybody else. They were reliable, they were proficient, they were competent. But you can look for them to exit near Christmas. You're going to come back, and then as the new year rolled in, there they were, back in their catboats, back to work. 1,000 years ago, just like 10 seconds, as Ray shared, the same thing. We, as a people, pull back at some point nearer to Christmas Day, chill for as long as we can to shortly after the new year, and then we get back to the grind, as it were, right? And I say that if we look at societies globally, we see that similar thing. The more we globalize, the more we industrialize, the more we're looking at the capitalists and the money and the like. We still have a semblance from the fairy tales and the movies that we watch. Scrooge, to some extent. A favorite show that I enjoy watching, Christmas with the Cranks, right? There's this behavior, and yes, Christmas Day was a good day to travel because nobody was traveling. There's a reason. I say that to ask, and I emphasize this from very young up until probably yesterday. Why not embrace our cultural ethos? Why not do what is the norm in many societies? Like you, I've worked and audited and seen many places, and those few days before Christmas and those few days after New Year, nobody wanted to work, even those who had. So why don't we have a national go slow, you know, where that whole semblance of festivity can be done safely, right, or safer, can be done more with fellowship and not the rush, so that when you're out eating and enjoying, you don't have to be worried about it. The uniform and important services like our nurses and healthcare, to the fire and the other personnel, if we're sensible and safe, they can relax too. And they can do like what the law firms did way back when. Have skeletal staff. You can still be on standby without being at attention. Right, Mr. Solomon?
I was going to say that, well, there's a bit of humor, but I would say that, yeah, I think maybe we do have a go slow. Maybe right now it's just being called Christmas. And we'll just have to accept that, because I think that where we don't want anything, if you just look even at Christmas, I mean, that's when all the fireworks and stuff is going off, and, you know, when we want to relax. And again, I have respect for all of our persons in the civil service.
Right.
Not to take that away, but speaking specifically about fire, again, when you and I relax and firing off fireworks, etc., they have to be on full attention, because chances are that's the increased time for a fire, right?
Understandably, right? But if we, and this is where I think the dynamic falls in, right?
And
this
police,
kind of,
etc.
Right. Why we look at the parade this evening, how I can tie it in, right? If we as a people enjoying our fireworks, we're overindulging in everything else, but we don't have to worry. Take it to seafarers, in my recollection. They came home, they were in somebody's yard this evening, having some fish tea, some turtle, and some drink. And then they may have spent the night there. The next day, you know, on the lawn chairs, on the lawn, they up, and they go to somebody else's yard. And they went from one to the next through the community. Not unlike the marches, as we remind of. But if we're doing that without having to rush it, without having to worry about, you know, what we're doing next, or a fire service personnel, thankfully, highly skilled, trained, and attentive, but they can kind of chill for a bit. because we're now a little bit more sensible. We're not so rushed mentally and physically. And then if the community has implemented what has unofficially adopted, just go slow. You have this thing that transpires organically, right? But we're afraid to embrace it as we should because of the expectation of some.
Right.
You see what I mean? So like take tonight, whether it's going to last for 5 hours or 5 days, if we're out and about as we're, making our purchases and we're moving along, Grand Cayman is small. I mean, on a good day, I could probably shut from East End to West Bay, right?
Well, I think we live in a world, when, unfortunately, that there's a lot of, having to keep up appearances, and there are certain things that people we tacitly understand, tacitly agree, but we can't speak it. It reminds me of a friend of mine. He was telling me about this this gentleman that was in the U.S., and apparently somehow he had managed to cross the freeway. Freeway, not on the highway, freeway. And apparently the police officer pulls him up or something. And bottom line is the police officer says something to, don't let me see you cross. Trying to tell this guy in a nice way, I'm going to turn my head, you cross, and don't let me see you, because if I see you, I'm going to have to arrest you or something.
Yeah.
And obviously the guy didn't get it. But I think it's unfortunate, just some of those situations where, again, using fire, somebody there, the chiefs, etc., will probably say, listen, as much as possible, I want everyone to be able to enjoy Christmas.
Right.
And it's just expressed, again, in a slightly different way. And there's a tacit understanding, I think.
But by extension, if the wider community, from the employers and all of that work, and us as the citizens are sensible, we're not rushed, we're doing this thing, we're being actually considerate of our nursing and medical personnel and our fire officers, because we're going to be attentive. We're not going to be in this hate space where we're moving from here to there, and we want to get and fulfill those obligations. Ray invited me to come for a meal and a small drink, and you go and you go and you go and you go. And the more that are on the road, the more probability of an interaction, right? So tonight, as the police are there escorting, 10 trailers, right? 10 or thereabouts, right?
It's quite a few,
right?
10 trucks, yeah,
And
including ours.
we were assembled on the roads and sharing and whatever, and they're moving slowly, and there's no sense of rushedness in our mind, maneuvered, all right? I gotta get where I'm going, and you're blowing them on, but you're sitting there and you're chilled, because there's no expectation other than, you know what, let me let my hair down, let me enjoy it, and to hear the music, right, to feel the vibe that is in the air, to appreciate the festivity, right? You see beyond the commercialism, and you become connected to the community.
Well, it would definitely be good if I think we can all be a little bit more of our brother's keepers, and being able to sit and say, listen, hey, let me see what I can do, for example, as a citizen, to make sure that the police doesn't have to work, and the fireman doesn't have to work, based on the things that I'm going to do and how I'm going to conduct things.
I was chewing on that for a second there. I was really trying to think about it, and the more I thought about it, I think we actually do that here in Cayman. I think, I thought about it on Sundays.
Yeah.
When you really think about it, Cayman slows down tremendously. If you compare driving on the roads on Friday, nobody gets in their car on Friday at 4:30 and goes, oh, yippee-ki-yay, because everyone knows what they're in for the next 3 hours. But on Sunday, it is such a much more retracted sense of rushing. Granted, it kicks back in on Monday.
Yeah.
But, we have that one day. And to be very fair to the rest of probably the world, they don't get Sundays.
Well, you see, Ray, you're going to carry this on to something that he probably said he didn't want to do in the first place. But see, again, that if you ask yourself, why do we have that? That, again, is from that Christian heritage, right?
Sure.
It was about resting on Sunday, day of rest, going to church, etc. Yeah. And I think that we'll continue to find that as more and more we try to take God out of the picture, the more and more chaos we actually end up with.
Although I support you sharing it, I'll actually ask, because Cayman, and I say this with the greatest of love and appreciation, I think my father, like men who went to sea, they came back with an awareness and understanding and appreciation for the world and its people. So he would tell us things about places he went. And then as I got older and I would read my schoolwork, I know that because my dad had been there. Oh, I know this because my dad had told me, right? And you saw it.
Sure.
Now, we live here, and there are people from everywhere, and they tell you. So whereas we were quick to say, well, Sundays in Cayman, that's so unique to Cayman. Not true. We got larger countries, physically, more population. That Sundays, maybe it was the initial thing of religion centuries ago that just carried over. But there are also practices even during the workday. Spain, we always would hear about the siesta. In West Bay, we did our siesta. Right? Still happens today. Take a 15-minute call for break. We have it in our law. 15 minutes in the morning, 15 minutes in the afternoon. How many people take it? And when they do, you got some. Is that what I want to use? But hold on.
Well, legally, the breaks are actually just based on the amount of hours. But conventionally, we tend to take on specific times. But to your point, I remember when traveling while I was in the government to Wisconsin as a civil servant. This is, and I was like so surprised when I saw on Sunday that nothing happened. I said, "Wow, big place like Wisconsin."
Yeah, but go to I call it Miami because all of South Florida is Miami except Tampa, right? Mm-hmm. There are little places, and I've come to learn that they're incorporated, unincorporated little areas.
Yes, absolutely.
That on a Sunday, I'm expecting, I'm in Miami. I mean, nothing sleeps. And I go, what do you mean you close? Right?
Right.
But to realize that you can drive 5 minutes across the street, and everything's open. There's still that semblance. And just like how...
In pockets, sure.
Yeah. You've identified that on a Sunday, for those of us who've been here for any length of time, would go from, wow, Sunday had 3 cars from East End to West Bay. Now we got 3 cars every, 3 inches. All right? Sure. Still less than before, but more than what it was, right? Now, if we got it on a Sunday on a weekly basis, right, that reprieve, why don't we have it and entrench it and support it? So like tonight, with the parade, fantastic opportunity to sort of reflect and look beyond, what is that from that Disney World? Look beyond what you see.
Well, I think this whole time, the whole December month, if we can go back,
maybe
it is that payday marker, which payday would have been earlier this week. Maybe that everything kind of like
we got paid. All right,
slow.
cool.
I think apparently we did, yeah. Everything kind of starts to slow down. But we were saying in the break, I mean, there's so many different between you got Kirk Freeport having parties, you got obviously the Coca-Cola parade tonight.
Yeah.
Lions has theirs. We know that there's several MPs that are having Christmas parties for their districts.
And it's the demand.
And it's a collective. It's like there's everybody's got.
But even in the private sector, again, it's going to be paid around the same time.
Yeah.
And technically, when everybody gets that pay, that you realize now I can all I have on my mind is to go buy a couple of things that I need to buy.
Here's my
It's like everybody's just You're not really, and everybody kind of knows it. Yeah. Nothing is really going to happen until in the new year. Yeah. We already know it.
We know it,
We know it.
You don't put in a request for a job to get done this week. No, you put it in, but you know.
You're not going to submit your resume on the 20th of December. No, you got to wait. you just know nothing's going to happen.
That's the truth.
All right. I know, Mr. Singh, your company is welcome. We do have the break.
We do have the break coming up, and I don't want to take too much time, so I just want to get a quick repeat here.
Yeah.
If you are listening, definitely bring the kids out. It's such a huge family. I hope to see Ellio, hope to see you out somewhere in Georgetown tonight. Check it out.
I'm
Hopefully
just
not.
Stare at you and not comment.
He's like, I'm being the hermit. That's it.
All right.
But again, the locations: West Bay Fire Station, Governor's Beach, Cardinal Avenue, Windsor Park, Country and Western, and South Sound Dock. And we'll be providing updates of where the parade is at.
So stay tuned to really come on, right?
Yeah, stay tuned. I mean, last year there had to be close to a couple thousand people that came out to support the parade, and hopefully bigger. And again, one of the feedback that Coca-Cola had was that the Eastern districts don't get the parade, and it's not a discriminatory thing. It's just a logistical. It's a 3-hour process, and it goes from West Bay to Georgetown to include the Eastern, which would have been too challenging. So they are planning a pop-up event at some point in the next few weeks over in the Eastern districts to make sure that they get to take part in the Christmas cheer.
So for my edification, before we go to the break, you have these stops. We'll reference it throughout.
Yeah, absolutely.
The idea is that you stop at these stops for a little bit and.
Absolutely. So the parade, the whole parade, they got full. It's moving party, right? So there's got DJs on the trucks. They're all lit up as one massive light show that moves with music.
Yeah.
Our van's even lit up in the process. But it starts up again at the Cayman Turtle Center. First stop is at the West Bay Fire Station. And then they stop and they give out presents to all the kids that are there. There's Coca-Cola gifts, giveaways. And then they move on to the next one. So each one of these major stops is a giveaway point. So you can bring the kids out to those specific stops, whichever one suits you. Some are bigger than others. Windsor Park is the biggest one that we've seen previously. So they do take a longer time to stop there to make sure, because the lines build up, right?
Yeah.
And safety as well. So the other thing is, if you are bringing your children out today, please be aware. Don't let them run around the trucks when they do stop. Last thing anybody wants is to see anybody get injured. So Because there's a lot of people that come out to the truck, right? So everyone comes up and lines up to get a gift or a drink. And while it is fun, definitely keep an eye on the little ones while you're out there.
Well, I hope to see you. Thank you for being... The MC isn't even the right word, but thank you for doing that.
Yeah, I'm just a timekeeper for the listeners. Timekeeper.
All right, enjoy. Hopefully see you around the Cardinal Avenue area.
Awesome. Right. Thank you so much, Ellio. All the best. Merry Christmas.
All right.
Yeah, pleasure seeing you.
As Ray exits, we'll pause
completely.
it. Join us
Appreciate
after.
that.
At Doctors Hospital, we know life happens, and usually when you least expect it. So when unexpected medical issues arise, you need quality care close to home. Located in the heart of Georgetown, our accomplished team of physicians and medical staff treat minor urgent conditions such as migraines, chest and abdominal pain, shortness of breath, burns, broken bones, open wounds, and more. 24 hours, 7 days a week with no appointment necessary. Peace of mind is important when life happens. At Doctors Hospital, we're always here just for you. Need to speak to someone? Call 949-6066.
Are you planning a social, an office party, or event over the holiday season? Make the most of your holiday party and leave the catering to Subway. Choose from small and large sandwich platters, double meat wrap platters, and top it off with optional cookie platters for dessert. Or ask about our Subway Box to Go with the option of a 6-inch or foot-long sandwich, 1 cookie, and 1 bag of chips. Cater your holiday parties with Subway. Visit subway.ky for menu options. Subway, eat fresh.
Jingle all the way into the season of incredible savings and wish granting with Digicel. This Christmas, get 25% off your Prime Bundle plan or postpaid bill for the next 6 months. With plans featuring social data, entertainment data, and more, Digicel keeps you connected and entertained all season long. But here's the real magic. Digicel could make your Christmas wish come true. Win a prize of your choice, from getting your rent paid to a new laptop or even a brand new car. Visit a Digicel store today, where dreams come true this holiday season.
You know, as a little girl, I dreamt of traveling to faraway places and foreign lands. I tell you what though, no more dreaming. I'm going flying with Cayman Airways. How blessed are we in the Cayman Islands to have a very own national airline? Girl, you can fly to so many international destinations without the hassle of connecting flights. On top of Jamaica, Cuba, and Honduras, you got non-stop flights from Cayman to New York, Miami, Tampa, and even Denver, Los Angeles, Panama, and child, they now have Barbados. Going to be a little cafe con leche and Hollywood Squares for this old gal.
Make your travel dreams come true with Cayman Airways, offering non-stop flights for non-stop adventures in Panama, LA, and many more places in between. For details and to book, call 949-2311, contact a travel agent, or visit CaymanAirways.com.
A house isn't home without the perfect furnishings and decor. At Robert Wood Furniture and Design, we have everything your home deserves. Shop now for incredible store-wide savings up to 50% off on sofas, beds, dining tables, and chairs. Or ask about our custom furnishing options and interior design services. Find the perfect gift ideas with accent pillows and vases starting at just $10. Lamps as low as $20. Whether it's kitchen and bathroom remodeling to flooring and window treatments, lighting, fans, furniture, and home decor, Robert Wood Furniture and Interiors has all you need this Christmas. Visit our website, robertwoodky.com. Like, follow, and share our page on Facebook and Instagram, Robert Wood Furniture and Interiors, or swing by our store at Cayman Center, Owen Roberts Drive. Wishing everyone a Merry Christmas and a prosperous and healthy New Year.
Discover your dream home with Cayman National's home loan. Get up to 95% financing, repayment up to 40 years, and just a 0.5% commitment fee. Your interest rate? Depending on your risk factors, it'll be fixed or variable. Plus, you get a pre-approved credit card. This is a limited time offer. Dial 949-8300 or email lending@caymannational.com today.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners' participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waging to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, welcome back. And a few minutes before we go to the news, got a chance to continue discussion with Mr. Ellio Solomon. And as our colleague Raymond Singh reminded us this evening, the Coca-Cola parade is on the way. Ellio, I say this publicly and with a great sense of love and respect. I want our people to publicly assemble to share their thoughts and sentiments in the most respectful and responsible way, but then gender a greater sense of dialogue and discourse, because other people we're becoming increasingly divided and we don't see the importance of civility. We see the absence of something, but by then it's too late. What did they say? The desert only misses the rain when there's a drought, right? We shouldn't wait until the horse has bolted before we recognize that the fence needs melting, right?
Mm-hmm.
But we do. And then we, no, that's not true, we ignore it. That's not what we do.
Well, I don't know. It sounds like you want to carry on the Christmas conversation. I don't know.
Yeah, it sounds so, eh? But talk to him.
But definitely, I've always been a person. I believe that as a country, we need to be able to have people working together and collectively. I remember when I was in government, one of the things that inspired me to start the website many years ago, kpolitics.com, was again the fact that as a civil servant, I know that there were so many things that we came in contact with and had to experience, but you weren't necessarily able to share those things. And even though you may have thought that would have major implications on the country. And that's why when I had the slogan for K Politics was everyone has a voice, or everyone has a voice, was because I wanted to have people engage in that dialogue and discuss issues and hopefully be able to find some solutions. Right. And as we talk about Christmas, I would say that I think that we're actually going into Christmas with a slightly different sense of atmosphere, if you like. Okay. For the first time now, we have, as a country, it's been formally announced that, Caymanians are now in the minority. And I think that has shaken up a lot of people. I've had many persons stop me in the parking lots and so on, and saying, we just need to put a stop to this and a myriad of different things. So I think that there's a lot of things to consider. And I think it would be good to be able to engage in the dialogue in terms of some of the things that are positive and some of the things that perhaps we can actually do, because I think it is an issue that we need to address in Cayman.
Yeah. I invite our listeners not only to call in, but to listen. I say this to you privately and I say it publicly. You're, in my humble estimation, are a man with the ability to formulate his thoughts and share his voice, not just publicly, but from a considered perspective. I want through that to invite us, given me, the individual, perspective on what Christmas is. And in addition to all the food, the fun, the fellowship, and the festivities, we actually talk at Christmas. Maybe because we got time. And we talk about serious things with a bit of levity. We talk believing that there is a sincerity, but also a confidence and a confidentiality in our backyards or around the dinner tables. And those discussions inform our perspective in the new year. There are a few things I want to take from what you shared, but also invite you to share other things. Sure. And hopefully, as we go into this time, we'll be more conscious and considerate, of our conversations. Please join us after the break.
Today's biggest news.
Radio Cayman. Your voice, your choice.
Local, regional, international. This is Headlines from Radio Cayman's newsroom.
Today's biggest news.
The headline news is brought to you by Health Services Authority.
The RCIPS cybercrime team report a scam circulating targeting the Cayman Islands, which advertises a new online C5 immigration and customs form for a Jamaican visa at a significantly reduced fee. The legitimate page for immigration to Jamaica is pica.gov.jm. Good afternoon, I'm Dion Anglin with your headlines and news elsewhere. Russian President Vladimir Putin has said peace with Ukraine will only take place when we achieve our objectives. He was fielding questions from journalists and ordinary Russians in his first marathon news conference since the full-scale invasion of Ukraine began in February of 2022. And scientists now have good numbers to describe the true scale of the world's biggest iceberg, A23A. Satellite measurements show the frozen block has a total average thickness of just over 920 feet. Combined with its known area of 1,500 square miles, this gives a volume of roughly 1,100 cubic kilometers and a mass just below 1 trillion tons. The iceberg, which calved from the Antarctic coast in 1986, is about to drift beyond the White Continent. That's a wrap of your headlines. I'm Dion Anglin.
Today's biggest news.
Radio Cayman. Your voice, your choice.
Local, regional, international. This is Headlines from Radio Cayman's newsroom.
Today's biggest news.
The headline news is brought to you by Health Services Authority.
The Health Services Authority has over 120 world-class physicians offering the most comprehensive range of specialist services on island. Our dedicated team of professionals provide the highest quality care in orthopedics, interventional radiology, women's health, geriatrics, and a host of other specialist areas. We are a JCI accredited organization with a proven record of excellence. At HSA, we are committed to caring for you. For more information, visit hsa.ky.
Radio Cayman is pleased to feature this special Sister Islands historical vignette brought to you by the Ministry of District Administration and Lands. Explore your history, explore your land, explore your Sister Islands.
Born September 25, 1947, at Watering Place, Cayman Brac, Royce Adolphus Dilbert was the firstborn son to Helen and Grace Dilbert, nee Tibbets. As a young boy, he attended Weston Primary School, then later Gainstead High School in Jamaica, when the family moved there to be closer to his dad, who was chief engineer on Cockernel ships. During school breaks, he would work at Hannah's haberdashery store as a wrapper. Wanting to be a seaman and engineer like his dad, shortly after his 16th birthday, Royce would join his dad on the Cockernel ship, the Kirk Pride, as a messman, later working on other Cockernel ships, for Bawden Shipping on the Merkel, National Boat Carriers, West Indian Towing Company, and West Indian Lines. Mr. Dilbert would enroll at National Technical School, and at age 25, he achieved his chief engineer license. By this time, Royce had worked his way up the ranks from BR messman to wiper oiler, fireman, second and first engineer to chief engineer.
Radio Cayman is pleased to feature this special Sister Islands historical vignette brought to you by the Ministry of District Administration and Lands. Explore your history, explore your land, explore your Sister Islands.
Explore your history. Explore your land. Explore your Sister Islands, the ultimate staycation experience. Your culture, your freedom, the land that time forgot isn't gone. It's your Sister Islands.
Discover all that our Sister Islands have to offer.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, welcome back, and thanks for joining us, and thanks too for listening. Of course, you can join the conversation, and thanks to Mr. Ellio Solomon for accepting the invitation. For those who didn't hear, he said he's been consciously sort of a digital detox and concentrating on family and doing his stuff, and having him in the public domain is a rarity, a treasure, a treat to me. I feel honored, man. So thank you for
pleasure.
Yeah, no, and I mean
good
that.
To be here with you too.
Thank you. And I said as we went into the break that it was my perspective of you know, in the past, before you were a parliamentarian, before you were hosting a show, doing when you were that, and when you shared your view, and you shared it from a perspective of, you know, this is my view, this is why I think, this is why I think it, and that's good. And I want us to do that, but to do it respectfully, responsibly, and with humility. And now that we're into Christmas, as we sit and enjoy the Christmas beef and you know, all that good stuff, as we talk consciously. Before I ask some of the things that you want to discuss and some of the things what are some of those things that we should be consciously discussing in your mind if we were, you know, in a class and you were the teacher and you gave us homework assignment?
Well, well, that would be difficult to try to single one thing out. But again, Dwayne, I believe that, I've always believed this, and I don't think I've seen anything that causes me to change my mind. I think Cayman Islands is a very small place, and we have been blessed. In part, definitely, we can generalize it and say we're blessed by God. But in part, I think by a lot of things that our forefathers have done, they've left us a very good gift. And I have always wanted to be able to see Caymanians come together and be able to sit and discuss as a community the things that we saw that were lacking, the things that we felt we need this, and the things that we actually thought that we were good, and being able to make specific decisions. One of the challenges I have politically is that a lot, and I believe that, as we would say with a person that has an issue, the first step in fixing that problem is for you to be able to recognize that perhaps we have a problem. And a lot of times, for example, when I see people voting and I listen to them, and I know it's hard for me to remove myself as someone who's been in politics. So this will come across perhaps in a slightly different way. Would love to be in your position or somebody else's position. But the reality is that you hear persons and you hear the things that are motivating them to vote for certain people. And I think that if there's one thing that I think has plagued us and continues to plague us and has created a lot of challenges that we have, is because we have people who are voting for, the guy that bought them a beer, that they're voting for a friend, and a myriad of different things. I remember during one of my campaign speeches, I gave a very succinct analogy. I said, listen, if we go out tomorrow to get someone to actually do our tiling on the floor, we don't even just simply look and say, hey, I found a tiler in the book. We ideally try to find a friend and say, do you know
what's
Tyler?
Your experience? Yeah.
Right, and we don't just want them to recommend. We actually would love to be able to say, oh, wow, that tiling job is great. Now we know who we want to hire. And so we're doing that now, not based on a name, not just even based on what a friend told you, but you're doing it based on the fact that somebody is actually saying to you, I can show you evidentially the things that this person can do. And when we do that, we hire the tiler. And to me, for whatever reason, I don't think tiling your house is as important as deciding who's going to run your country, make the rules, how your kids will go to school, and whether a person will become king. This is made so when we're actually sitting there, and I remember this, and I'm saying this with all seriousness because I remember having a discussion in one election, again, so that I don't try to point at anyone particular. I had an individual, seriously, family person, and has a business, saying, oh, I'm going to vote for so-and-so. And you ask him why. He said, well, we actually smoke pot together.
They have a way of fellowship, and there's a connection. There's something that they share in common. Yeah?
Dwayne, trust me when I'm saying to you that, maybe to someone else is something to laugh about, but, honestly, I just sit and say, for you to tell me that we are us or who or somebody as a Caymanian, even down to that level, that's how you're going to decide you're going to vote. And I say that because, to me, we have major challenges right now. When we talk about the outnumbering, for example, to me, you can give two analogies with that. You can sit and say that you're the individual that owns a home and you have invited some family and friends, but we know how it go. You're expecting 25 people, and somehow or another, you look out on your lawn and there's not 25 people. There's probably 150, 200 people, and you're wondering where all these people come from. And there are probably some of them that are committing all manners of evil, and you're probably tired. But there's one thing now that keeps you above the rest, is that you still actually own the home. And you can still eject people from the home. You can still say to them, listen, you have to leave here because the peeing on the lawn and so on is not acceptable. Well, that's one scenario. And there are many people in this country that, first of all, will accept that they don't have that much ownership and they can't eject anyone, no matter what they see them doing. I had a person right down the road from me in my neighborhood throw in the garbage. I spoke to them. And again, I'm not even calling nationalities. And then they throw the garbage again. And so I speak to them. And he ends up asking me, well, what makes it your neighborhood? What makes it that I'm littering your country? And then you call the police, and then the police comes, and there's really no enforcement. There's nothing even to say, I'm going to drag you down to the station and charge you $10. Nothing. But when I checked last, there was a community law that says, there's actually a fine for littering, even though the person admits it.
So in listening to all you, go ahead, sorry.
And so one more, I think that's one analogy, but that perhaps can have a grayness to it, a somewhat negative outlook. So let me give a positive one. The positive one is that we have a country where we can actually give Caymanians ownership of this country. And what I continue to see is that our politicians are not doing that. Right?
Okay.
When, for example, I came with the pension amendment, it was to be able to start that process of being able to allow Caymanians to get a ownership in their country. I remember some of my colleagues at the time saying to me, we need to open this up to everyone. I said, no, we need to make it that Caymanians can withdraw their pension. So when they start running a piece of property, it would be a Caymanian to get that ownership. And I also remember during my tenure in office, there was talk about the sale of water authority, for example. I said, but we can make our pensioners, Caymanians, be able to purchase those utilities.
Yeah.
Now, think of the different scenario when you can increase the ownership, and these same Caymanians that are feeling that they're outnumbered, etc. If they know that every time someone, again, for one or better example, every time someone flushes the toilet, there's $1 to be made. Yeah. Every time someone hits the switch.
Sorry, I just want to make sure, water authority or water company?
It was water authority.
Okay, which is a statutory authority, already government owned.
Government owned.
Okay, and you were planning to privatize as some would use.
The plan was to privatize it.
Right.
Because bear in mind that during that particular time that we were in office, the country was in a very bad state economically, right? I mean, we had there had been some serious spending on the prior government. There had been the financial crisis around the world.
Right. Okay.
And basically we ended up that we were, in a position with a major deficit, etc.
Yeah.
And so that was one of the things that was being bandied about.
Yeah. And this is why I recognize that my friend would say, man, I need to have a discussion. But these are the discussions we need to have. And this is why I'm grateful that you would accept this conversation, the invitation of this conversation now. And I'm asking us, all of us, as we go into Christmas, because we're going to have these conversations. And we used to have them, well, for some of us was a Friday night and some of us was a Sunday afternoon. So let's consciously have it. Let's include our children and let's be considerate. A number of things that you said, even if you could see my paper, I can't read what I wrote.
Right.
So you wouldn't be able to decipher
It's the doctor in you.
Yeah, you wouldn't be able to decipher it. But I wrote certain words and you had said them. And after you said them, I wrote them again. Why I emphasize that is that, take one of the words, ownership. We kept referring to ownership.
Yeah.
We know that in business, we would ask people to have a buy-in, ownership, so that they could be a part of this thing and they can easily, get the message out and all those things, right? But in the Cayman context, the ownership has to be the physical ownership of, the land, the assets. But it has to be, to your example of the neighbor, pride, ownership in the community. How are you disposing of your trash, right? And if you are just inconsiderate, if the Honorable Tourism Minister, Mr. Bryan, wouldn't mind me borrowing his word, nasty, and you're just littering, with his permission, and a friend drove me around particular areas, and then we drove again, and we did it prior to cleanup, we did it after. And these are areas that many of us would say, let's say South Sound, high class, rich people, home, expensive homes. There were garbage bags that either A, were just thrown on the side of the road and somehow got torn open, or it looked, and he alleged, and it certainly looked like that bag was deliberately taken, torn, and just, littered as you would do with confetti. But it wasn't just South Sound, okay? This was West Bay Road. It was one neighborhood after the other. Now, was that deliberate? If it's not deliberate, is it inconsiderate? Those bags didn't just drop out of the sky. I mean, maybe they have Amazon drones now delivering. When we put our garbage out by the roadside, not just for the National Bulk Waste Collection, but for the good folks who come along every day almost and collect, are we safely and sensibly placing their garbage so they can securely pick them up? Or do we even care? And if we're not doing it that way, then are we malicious? And are we trying to make the place, Mr. Bryan's words, nasty?
Yeah. Well, I mean, again, I don't want to come across.
No.
I have to put the caveats on, right? Because it's in the world that we live in. If I tell you that I think you're wearing the wrong color shirt, people will say, "Oh my, you're coming like you don't like Dwayne." So you can't say anything negative about anyone without automatically not being labeled that you don't like them. And let me just stress to you, there's a lot of foreign nationals, as we would put it, in my family. A lot of them.
Thankfully, right?
Right. But we need to we need to understand something. And I gave these examples many years ago. I'll give it again. If I work at a particular company and I use Dell computers, and I move to another one, then chances are you'll probably see a natural evolutionary process occurring where more and more Dell computers will start popping up.
Yeah.
It's just natural. You send me anywhere around the world, and the same way I'm growing my lawn and the things that I'm doing, got my big trees in the yard, Ellio will replicate that regardless of where he goes. Initially I would surprise, like, why is this guy coming all the way from North America, and why is he asking for a Burger King? I mean, you would want to get away from, but the reality is, it's what we're used to. And why do I say that? I say because you have to be consciously aware that there are going to be persons. I remember going to one particular country, standing in the cinema when an individual threw a bottle on the ground and mashed it up. And my simple point there is, don't be surprised now if they're going to try to do the same thing here. And this is where, again, we have to have laws, and you have those laws, for example, have to be enforced.
And they have to reflect the ethos of the society. Right?
And there's a lot of solutions out there to the problems. And one of the things I'm actually hoping, so again, kudos to the government in terms of the changes that they have made. Again, I have done my best to not pay too much attention. Because then I can't avoid talking, and then that normally gets me into problems. But again, kudos to the government. I think you have some characters inside of there that I think that have been through the weather, and have actually seen some of the motions, for example, and amendments, even that I have made, and other things. They've heard things. So hopefully we can have, even within the next year or so that remains, we can actually have some implementation of some of these things that will make a real concrete difference. And let me just give it a little one, because we were on to that, right? There was a suggestion, and I actually was thinking about it during the election, and I was sitting on the phone, on the radio at the time, I think, with Woody. And it was actually Mr. Elvis McKeever that called in with it, saying, we should be able to take the pictures of people throwing the trash. And I was thinking something similar, but I said, well, video, because pictures could have some issues. But the bottom line is, let's give it to Mr. Elvis McKeever. For whatever it's worth, there's an idea. And being able to sit there and say, if you've actually successfully recorded someone in a video throwing trash, well, the person will be fine, and you'll even get a pecuniary benefit from that. A financial benefit from it. Why not?
This is where, if we utilize technology in a sensible way, right? I'm very deliberate in this, and I'm hoping that it'll gain traction, because I think it makes sense. I'd rather read a book than spend endless hours looking at a dumb screen.
Right.
My friend used to call it a one-eye monster, idiot box, right? In various forms, I saw something recently. And then when I saw it sent again, actually a news report out of one of the U.S. media outlets, right? But it was all speaking to the same thing, the amount of time we spend on our devices. Deliberately so, because of our jobs, sometimes because it's how, we get our entertainment. But presumably, and this was, in many instances, speaking to the same thing, but here was an actual real-life heroic event that was life-saving. Presumably, this news report indicated that this young child, probably middle school student, on a bus with an otherwise healthy, reliable, most celebrated bus driver, taking the children home from school after a very productive day, has a seizure or some medical emergency, right? This young student goes, to the wheel, and the cameras on the bus records everything. His actions are just, if there's ever a heroic effort, here it is. He grabs the wheel, applies the brakes, stops it, calls the emergency services, and everything's fine. And they want to know, well, why did this child do this? What's spectacular about him? Every other child was staring at this dumb device. This stupidness that we stick in our ears, right? Can't hear nothing, no spatial awareness, no situational awareness. And had that child not done that, who knows what the outcome would have been. Why I say that is that these are middle school students. We are parents, we give them this. Most of them probably not working, even if they got a part-time job. It take a while to spend $2,000 to buy one of these full things. But yet, we don't want to limit it. And when we do limit, it's to punish, not to embrace. Right? But that's children. Look at us as adults, as parents. Go out to dinner. Your, partner is on the thing doing whatever, and so are you. And so are the children. We don't have this. Again, back to why I want us to very consciously have these discussions, seriously. Because there is a division in the world caused by whatever, however you want to phrase it. And it's Thoughtful Thursday. I want this to be a serious, sobering discussion. I want to intellect like yours. And I want to be challenged with what we say. All right? And if you disagree, fair enough. Give me a reason. If you agree, just to accept. Let's act. You talked about your formation of K-Politics. Right? Here is Radio Cayman. And I like the fact that there are excellent other media outlets. To me, they'll never, ever, ever be able to stand even in the shadow of Radio Cayman. Right? Not just doing national events or natural disasters. But this is not a government station. My personal view. This is us, funded by all of us who pay taxes. And it cannot become like other entities just in the Caribbean where the government of the day just becomes this propaganda machine. It has to be that independent voice that champions what the government does right, that questions other things, but also the private sector. I don't care if you're advertising $1 zillion with us. You just deliberately dispose of your, toxic chemicals. We can report it. We can investigate. But we're not doing that globally because we are fearful, because we don't want to lose the invitation. We might not get the award or the reward. Really?
Yeah. Well, I think it's important for the public to recognize those who are voting, especially. For them to recognize the importance of doing those sort of things that you're talking about. I mean, for example, being in the media business, you will see that you have this arguably unhealthy dependence on the advertisers, for example. And particularly being in the private sector, if you are saying anything about any particular government, then there's this general reluctance for those persons to advertise. Because unfortunately, you do have the scrupulous persons in office. I mean, but let's put it this way. We've even had it announced publicly on the floor of the House, where you have persons saying the government will not be advertising with a particular media house. So I say that because we don't have to guess whether it actually happens behind the scenes. Yeah. But you've had persons who will sit and say, "Oh, so you're advertising with that guy." Yeah. Or your advertisement so and so, and then you have all of this withdrawal, and therefore the company collapses.
But there's two sides to that coin, right? One, you may have an entity. Let's just use, say, a publishing house, newspaper, whatever it is, right? Media that may want to flex its muscle. It may want to be the tail wagging the dog. And can I use the word that we've used so much now that it becomes almost meaningless? Bully. We got bully you and we got kowtow. But secondly, you may have a government entity or a politician enjoying the parliamentary privileges and immunity that comes from being on the floor of the House, saying something, using that position to beat up, but sometimes being afraid, even with those privileges, to call out something. So let's say you have a media entity that decides, you know what, we're going to say this, this, and this. It's unfair, it's unfounded, it's prejudicial, it's inflammatory, right? And yet, because of who it is or what it thinks it is, it's allowed to.
Well, for what it's worth, I think if you look at a constitution in terms of or Bill of Rights, I mean, those rights that, for example, we have in Cayman are what we would call vertical rights. It's about the public
and the government,
or persons and the government.
Yeah.
And the reason is because the government is the most powerful entity. At the end of the day, the government can pass a law. You might not like it, but the government could pass a law that, all blue-eyed babies shall be killed. It's been done. It's things that have been done, right? Again, they talk about Hitler, but Hitler was democratically elected.
Yeah.
Okay. So the government can say to you, can pass a law and shut you down. They can go and not grant your license.
Yeah.
And so I say that because it is incumbent on any government to be careful how they actually go about things. But in the same way, there's nothing wrong with getting up and putting the proper policies and stuff in place in terms of how media houses have to operate to make sure that their powers are not abused.
So let me take that last example, and I'm hoping that people will hear that and realize, whoa, history is replete with many examples where, to quote Burke, evil prevails because good men do nothing, right?
Right.
I'm not going to ask you because you've already said, listen, I've deliberately tried to stay away, right? So to our listeners, do we know what the outcome? There was a bill, there was some comment from the legal fraternity that they didn't know about it, and they're going to be directly impacted by it. There was one account in one media outlet, and it was talk about, the secret trials. We know that they exist in the UK. The star chambers of centuries ago, very, very, very similar. And Do we know what the outcome of that bill was? Was it? We know that there was very little commentary from parliamentarians in any forum. And if it's passed, well, is it implemented and what? Right? Now, you may or may not know about it. So I'll give you, excuse right now. Right?
Give me a hermit clause.
Yeah. I'll give that to you. But the reason why I'm asking, that is one thing that, given what you say, the power of a government, right? Even ours, we're not a parliament. If the governor of the UK says to us, listen, take your marbles away, go sit down, be quiet. Even the little advance you have in the Constitution. We're not sovereign nation. We're not sovereign parliament, right? But we blame the politicians, really so at times. But where are we, the voters, in being involved, being informed, and ensuring that there's a sense of accountability because we're responsible in our actions.
Yeah,
right?
and we have an obligation because the person who has the power in your workplace is primarily the person who can fire you. And I say that because sometimes you can have a situation where you can hire someone, but you're not the one to fire them. All right? And the stick tends to work a lot more better sometimes than the carrot. But we have a responsibility to hold our politicians accountable. And when you talk about, for example, a particular amendment or law being brought, again, this silence, for example, on issues, to me, that in itself is something that, to me, I think continues, but to me, it's not really right. The public deserves to hear the opinions of every single member, actually, when it comes to a particular bill.
All right. We're going to take a break. Can I ask our listeners, certainly want you to be as attentive. What you missed, you can revisit later on our YouTube and the like. But to that question, how many of us are aware of, I'll try to find the proper name, but the secret trials piece of legislation, right? And just as one example, because we just reset. 949-8037, 949-6990. There's the WhatsApp, 925-3261. You can listen, you can call, you can share. I'm very, very grateful to former parliamentarian, Mr. Ellio Solomon, for sitting with us. Stay tuned for Talk Today.
It's game time, Subway fans. We're upping our sub game with the all-new Subway Series menu, an all-star lineup of 6 delicious recipes. Just order by name or number and we'll do the rest. Whether you're catching a quick lunch or just need a tasty victory, the Subway Series menu is coming in clutch. Subway Series, easy to order, hard to resist. Try it today, only at Subway. Eat fresh.
You know, as a little girl, I dreamt of traveling to faraway places and foreign lands. I tell you what though, no more dreaming. I'm going flying with Cayman Airways. How blessed are we in the Cayman Islands to have a very own national airline? Girl, you can fly to so many international destinations without the hassle of connecting flights. On top of Jamaica, Cuba, and Honduras, you got non-stop flights from Cayman to New York, Miami, Tampa, and even Denver, Los Angeles, Panama, and child, they now have Barbados. Going to be a little cafe con leche and Hollywood Squares for this old gal.
Make your travel dreams come true with Cayman Airways, offering non-stop flights for non-stop adventures in Panama, LA, and many more places in between. For details and to book, call 949-2311, contact a travel agent, or visit CaymanAirways.com.
Brand Source Home Gallery is having a huge sale on all brands of kitchen and laundry appliances just in time for Christmas. Shop the month of December and save. Get 15% off ice makers and 20% off wine coolers and beverage centers. Spend $4,000 or more and receive bigger discounts for every $1,000 spent. You could receive up to 20% off. Save big on all kitchen appliances, including laundry, on all brands. Visit Brand Source Home Gallery on Dorsey Drive in Industrial Park or call 623-5000.
The team at Caribbean Engineering Machine and Welding Shop would like to thank their customers for their continued support during 2023. We wish everyone a happy holiday season and look forward to their continued patronage in the future. Merry Christmas and Happy New Year from Caribbean Engineering.
A ladder safety tip from CUC. Take your time. Never rush while hanging lights or decorations, and never stand above the 3 rungs from the top of the ladder. Be safe this Christmas.
Find your dream car with a Cayman National Vehicle Loan. Enjoy 100% financing, up to 8-year repayment, and a 7% fixed interest rate for the first 5 years. For eco-friendly cars, we'll waive your commitment fee. This only applies to new vehicles until December 31st, 2023. Call 949-8300 or email lending@caymannational.com today.
Jingle all the way into the season of incredible savings and wish granting with Digicel. This Christmas, get 25% off your Prime Bundle plan or postpaid bill for the next 6 months. With plans featuring social data, entertainment data, and more, Digicel keeps you connected and entertained all season long. But here's the real magic. Digicel could make your Christmas wish come true. Win a prize of your choice, from getting your rent paid to a new laptop or even a brand new car. Visit a Digicel store today, where dreams come true this holiday season.
You don't sound too good there, Bobo.
Yeah, you know how it is. With the kids back in school, every other week they coming out with something, and then I catch it.
Sound like it catch you, but for real, brother, flu season is here and COVID is still around. You gotta stock up on things like medicine, vitamins, and minerals for you and the kids. You know what they say, prevention is better than cure.
At ValueMed, our pharmacists can help manage flu symptoms and provide guidance on vitamins and minerals to best support you and your family's overall health. Visit ValueMed Pharmacy on Walkers Road or Town, or WhatsApp your questions and prescription refills to ValueMed on Walkers Road at 926-1662, or WhatsApp ValueMed in Town at 916-5511. Live happy, live healthy with ValueMed Pharmacy.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waging to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, welcome back, and thanks for joining us. And just as we continue discussion, the phone lines may be working. I know Flo has indicated that there were some issues with many of us having, being able to at least send and receive data. Phone calls might have been working. The discussion, today's Thursday, right? Thursday. I'm not having this discussion today because I'm taking an exit tomorrow and going to enjoy, God's willing, Christmas with the family and my parents, as the young ones take leave. I gotta be solamente, right, my friend? Yeah. So with that in mind, I asked Mr. Ellio Solomon to join us. I share with you now because I didn't prior. I hesitated because I'm not going to be here after tomorrow, and I wanted whatever to be said so I can be around. And some people come and they pick a fight and they run.
Right.
No, I don't like that. I want to stay right there. I didn't want to pick the fight. But I'm asking us to consciously. Tomorrow's the 15th. There's 31 days in this month. As we go into Christmas, next weekend is Christmas weekend.
Mm-hmm.
We think about what we're going to do, and we do it consciously. So thank you for sharing. I asked the question, maybe someone will give me an answer. Can I ask some more other things based on what you said earlier, or do you want to put something on the table?
You can feel free to ask. I mean,
Okay. Let's go back to what is very current, and I would want to believe that the intent, whatever political mileage comes of it, whatever the people who understand finance and economics much better may have to say, that should at least cause us to consider it. The pensions amendment, you proposed that in your term. Tell me what the proposal was and why.
Yeah,
and when? Because we forget easily.
Sure. Dwayne, I was lucky again to accident of birth, maybe growing up in Cayman, to have had some good opportunities. In this particular case, I wanted to talk about when I actually built my apartments. I remember, for example, trying my best to do as much of that on my own as possible, right? But by the time you were actually finished, at the time, I think it was somewhere around, let's round it off, 150,000. And immediately the value was 320. A couple of years later, 647. And I won't even tell you how much it is today, right? And I remember sitting and thinking, shouldn't every Cayman have an opportunity for that? I mean, the real estate is constant appreciation in value. And you don't get that everywhere. I think when you looked at the pensions many years ago, government was averaging something like 7% on your money every year. And that's if you're doing really well. And I thought, as an elected member, I want to be able to do the same thing as much as possible to be able to provide every Caymanian with that same opportunity that I had.
Mm-hmm.
To be able to own that piece of property and watch it actually constantly keep appreciating in value. And I also believe that home ownership was a good place to start to be able to get things going in terms of investing pensions into our infrastructure. And so there was a big fight about that. I don't know if you recall, but I mean, we had members of the elected members, let's put it that way, without specifying. We had elected members that came on the radio. They argued that vehemently that what I was doing was totally wrong. This was wasting the people's money, and that people needed this for savings and for their retirement. And my argument was very simple: is that if you had actually taken a young person who had just got out of school, remember, you don't really have to contribute anything above $60,000
at that time, right?
At the time, right?
Right.
So I said, let's give a young person just coming out of school, and let's pretend he or she makes that $60,000 a year.
Mm-hmm.
What's the maximum pension contribution? And when you added it all the way up to retirement, you actually ended up, I think, at the time with $252,000 in direct investment.
Yeah.
And after having talked to people, etc., I said, you can't tell me that it makes sense to reach the goal post of retirement with $252,000, just using that, keeping all this interest stuff out of it.
Yeah.
$252,000, as opposed to reaching without a house, as opposed to reaching your goal post of retirement with maybe only $220,000, but you have a house. I think a house is a much better,
right?
Even if you can't afford the electricity, hopefully you can afford the water.
I'm hearing you.
And so I thought this is a good time to give Caymanians an opportunity to get home ownership, because you also had a lot of persons who are saying, I want to own a home, but I can't afford that deposit. And in the pension law, it actually specified that certain amounts of money should be invested into the local economy. But it never really happened.
Presumably there's no vehicle to achieve that, right?
Yeah, nothing. Well, there's always an excuse.
Yeah.
So the pension amendment, for example, is one vehicle that was created very quickly, very easily. All the fights aside, my point is that anyone with the real will, any government with the real will, can actually go ahead and do it.
Right.
And again, you've seen now that they've just made additional amendments to that. Well, again, luckily that person doesn't have the fight. The piñata have already been bust now. The candies are out. But the bottom line of it is that I wanted to be able to see that pension invested. And as I said to you earlier on in the day, it is a case that if we actually use things like that to help to build up our infrastructure, whether it be with the water authority that I talked about, the Cayman Airways, people should be able to sit here, as in Caymanians, should be able to sit and when they see the foreign national coming, when they see the people working, they should at least have that comfort of saying everyone of them out there in some way or another is actually contributing to my retirement, my children's retirement, and the list goes on.
But when you speak back to the historical context, and sometimes we hear, but we don't actually internalize, the saying, if you don't know where you're going, any road will get you there. If you don't know your history, where you're coming from, right? And at that time, the pensions legislation allowed someone, a non-Cayman, to exit Cayman for 2 years and then withdraw every single penny. That was a deferred savings. We know many of them returned to the country with an accumulated sum that they could invest in businesses, buy property, and do like.
And that gave them an advantage.
Significant financial advantage, right? But the Caymanian who exited Cayman, and I've known examples of this, who say, listen, I've been gone, can I get some? No, you can't, because you might come back.
Yep.
Right? But worse, right? Not only could this thing apply, and there was that, by law, a built-in advantage, discrimination. Right? Have we compounded it now as we go forward and look at where we are, where if I understood your initial sort of proposal, it was going to allow Caymanians to benefit, to be able to acquire tangible assets, physical property, and Caymanians only.
Yeah.
Right? Now, if I heard you also say, at the end of the day, if all you have is a roof over your head, no running water, no electricity, no
hopefully you have running water, but
you got a well, right? And no mortgage, at least you got a safe, clean place to stay.
Yeah.
Right? Where are we now? Right? No, nothing tangible but a lot of debt. No savings accumulated otherwise.
And there's a lot of persons in those scenarios. I mean, I had persons. I remember when it initially passed, I had I can remember one particular one because it was so late at night that this lady called me. I think it must have been like 11 or 12ish.
Yeah.
And she was in tears. She said, I finally own my own home.
Yeah.
Right? And I felt good. I said, to me, that's a really good feeling. And like the Bible will tell you, Jesus Christ healed 10 lepers and only one turns back to say thanks. But that one makes up for it, right?
Yeah.
And it was good to be able to see people benefit in that particular way.
But
and I would stress, again, some of the same persons that went ahead and argued that, you shouldn't be able to give persons access to their pension were some of the same that engaged in a big giveaway. And I would say that even with respect to a lot of persons withdrawing, I had even asked some foreign nationals at that point in time, I said, would you actually give a 10% of your pension? This was during that kind of giveaway there.
Yeah.
Would you give a 10% of your pension to the government in order to allow you to be able to withdraw it? And I didn't meet any one foreign national that didn't say, yeah, sure, it's not a problem.
Yeah. You see,
and I say that doing sorry to cut you. I say that because to me, again, that was another missed opportunity.
Yeah.
We had a massive exodus of a lot of funds from Cayman, and the government, other than whatever was spent, whatever trinket was spent, because I'm pretty sure a large amount of that was sent home, didn't get anything from that.
Yeah.
And all I'm simply saying is that when you look at things, and I'd like to chat about it, whether it be housing, whether it be jobs for Caymanians only, I don't want to hear in a government talking about they're trying to do things for Caymanians and they're not getting it done, because there's a lot of things that are already even on the books that just simply needs to get implemented that can be real beneficial to Caymanians.
Right. The break, Ms. Susan. Mr. Solomon, when we return, can we talk about those things?
Absolutely.
And I would like for us as we listen, as serious and sobering as this may be, somber to some, that we look at it with a sense of, can I use the word you use, ownership? And can I add to that unity, so that we're doing this in a way how we can come together? And I may even refer to, just the idea that we can't unring the bell, but let's see if there are things that we can maybe address, even though we can't rewind the hands of time. Can we tie that in?
Absolutely.
All right. Well, those are the conversations that we're going to have. You see that head he got? Inside there's a good brain. We got to pick it. Stay tuned for Talk Today.
Discover your dream home with Cayman National's home loan. Get up to 95% financing, repayment up to 40 years, and just a 0.5% commitment fee. Your interest rate? Depending on your risk factors, it'll be fixed or variable. Plus, you get a pre-approved credit card. This is a limited time offer. Dial 949-8300 or email lending@caymannational.com today.
You know, as a little girl, I dreamt of traveling to faraway places and foreign lands. I tell you what though, no more dreaming. I'm going flying with Cayman Airways. How blessed are we in the Cayman Islands to have a very own national airline? Girl, you can fly to so many international destinations without the hassle of connecting flights. On top of Jamaica, Cuba, and Honduras, you got non-stop flights from Cayman to New York, Miami, Tampa, and even Denver, Los Angeles, Panama, and child, they now have Barbados. Going to be a little cafe con leche and Hollywood Squares for this old gal.
Make your travel dreams come true with Cayman Airways, offering non-stop flights for non-stop adventures in Panama, LA, and many more places in between. For details and to book, call 949-2311, contact a travel agent, or visit CaymanAirways.com.
'Twas the days before Christmas in Digicel stores near and far. Stockings were hung with the best tweenie deals by far. A 27-day bundle, it was quite an appeal. With 2 gigabytes any use data, it made Roblox so real. YouTube and Disney Plus, oh what a delight. Boys and girls were entertained from morning till night. Endless messaging, a connection so dear. Staying in touch with parents, oh what a cheer. Visit a Digicel store today, where dreams come true this holiday season.
At Doctors Hospital, we know life happens, and usually when you least expect it. So when unexpected medical issues arise, you need quality care close to home. Located in the heart of Georgetown, our accomplished team of physicians and medical staff treat minor urgent conditions such as migraines, chest and abdominal pain, shortness of breath, burns, broken bones, open wounds, and more. 24 hours, 7 days a week with no appointment necessary. Peace of mind is important moment when life happens. At Doctors Hospital, we're always here just for you. Need to speak to someone? Call 949-6066.
It's party season, which means it's pizza boat season. Aren't you tired of the same boring pizza? It's time to party. All aboard the pizza boat. Birthday parties, holiday functions, office luncheons, game nights. Whatever your occasion, bring the fun with Pizza Boat, a Cayman twist to pizza. Bringing fusion ingredients from all over the globe to give you locally inspired fresh pizzas. All day, every day. What's more, now you can enjoy a boat-shaped pizza with toppings of your choice. It's Pizza Boat in Queens Court on West Bay Road. Open daily from 11 a.m. to 11 p.m. and Fridays until 3 a.m. Pickup or delivery 949-0000 or get it online at www.pizzaboat.ky. Pizza Boat. Experience the ultimate pizza voyage.
Ho, ho, ho! Hi, kids! Santa here, letting you know that I can't wait to see you all again at my grotto at Bayshore Mall. I'll be there with my friends from Kirk Freeport from Monday the 18th December until Friday 22nd. I'll be there between 3 and 7 p.m. every day, except Friday, where I will be there earlier between 11 a.m. and 3 p.m. Along with sweet treats, Santa will have a special gift for every boy and girl, and there will be popcorn, cotton candy, and Christmas music filling the air. Merry Christmas! See you soon at Bayshore Mall. Love, Santa and everyone at Kirk Freeport.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waging to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, welcome back and thanks for joining us. And thanks to Mr. Ellio Solomon for being a part of the discussion. Miss Susan on the phone's working. She says she's not quite sure, but no, just kidding. She didn't say that. She didn't say 949-8837, 949-6990. And if the WhatsApp is there for you, 925-3261. All right. Thanks again, man. Thanks for taking the time away. I know you take your responsibilities very seriously. I know that, by choice, you've consciously engaged in stuff and disengaged from stuff. So being here publicly.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it has been a fight over the last couple of years to try my best to disconnect myself from the politics because I mean the people, the country, it's something that I love and I love the politics because I first kind of fell in love with it, if you like, because I used to watch my dad. He used to aid in some campaigns and that perhaps somewhat snuck in there. And I always remember going down to the Parliament when I was a civil servant. I actually went down there to answer some questions on behalf of Computer Services via the then good and honourable Minister, Mr. Linford Pearson. and I remember we actually got approval for funds, for example, to be able to go ahead and run fibre optics in the government, saving us from spending $1.2 million every year and carrying it down to one simple cost of $500,000 in infrastructure fees. Quite a proud movement. But at that point in time, I kind of made up my mind. I said, this is something I want to do. This is where I want to be. This is where I can make a difference. So it's not easy because if I actually get involved and I see something happening, I want to open my mouth. And I don't find that necessarily makes you friends and doesn't increases the stress levels. And I just thought, it's time for me right now to concentrate on my family. But I thank you for inviting me here. They have that saying that once you learn to ride a bicycle, you never forget. So hopefully something similar with the talk show.
Yeah, man. It's
speaking about cell phones and texting.
Yeah. You're reading my mind, man. You're reading my mind.
But I was saying to you earlier, and you can feel free to help guide me in a particular area that you may want to go.
Yeah.
But I want to stress again, and I say that with all serious and not being facetious or sarcastic at all. We have, if you look at the situation, the history, when I was there in office, we actually had a change. And that change was that we had Mr. Bush that had crossed the floor of the House, and we had the PNA government at that point in time that actually took control of the country for at least 5 months. Unique situation because it was only 5 persons at the time. But 2 of those individuals are in the present government.
Yeah.
And again, I would like to say publicly because you had the Honourable Dwayne Seymour, who was very supportive. When I actually brought motions on the pension, and jobs for Caymanians. To the best of my knowledge, I could be wrong. If I'm wrong, may God and the persons who seconded forgive me, but he seconded both of those particular motions.
Yeah.
And all two of them were actually passed. If you look at when jobs for Caymanians was actually passed in the House, I think it was in March of 2013, right before we went to the election.
All right.
You're cutting me?
No.
Okay. It was actually in March of 2013. And again, that was brought by the PNA government. So again, definitely to mention, Ms. Juliana Connor-Connolly, the Honorable Juliana Connor-Connolly, and Mr. Dwayne Seymour would have been there at the time. Their tenure at that point in time survived in large part because the opposition, the progressives, were willing to support them. Naturally, I was going to support them. That was my motion. But I say that because I'm hoping and having some faith that particularly even with those two individuals there in the government, having had the history of it and everybody talking about they want to do something for Caymanians. We've seen somebody take on the idea of pensions and try to carry the baton a little bit further. So good. And they say that there's, what was that saying? No more imitation, sincere form of flattery.
Yeah.
But hopefully we can get the same thing with the jobs for Caymanians only, because I really don't understand the taboo. And I will just stress this. I've talked to a couple of foreign nationals, and I remember talking to one particular lady, and she was saying, why is it that there's this push to get the foreigners out? And I'm like, well, if you have Caymanian status, aren't you Caymanian? And I say that because at the end of the day, let's make up our mind where we're at.
Where are our loyalties?
Yeah. And I never forget the Compass when I actually brought it. And I used the Compass as an entity, different ownership at the time. But there was a big editorial, nasty slapping me. Of course, it was very interesting to find out that the editor went to work with the government at the time, right after the next election. But different story. Bottom line is I got a big lashing for it, and I really don't understand what's so taboo about it. We put in place jobs for Caymanians only. Notary Republics, for example, was one modification made. You have Notary Republic, you have to be Caymanian. Our parliamentarians have to be Caymanians only. When I check last, the deputy governor. It's really not something to me that should be something taboo. I really don't understand it. And so you can't possibly tell me, as you have in a government that's going to talk about wanting to do something for Caymanians, you talk about immigration reform, etc. Well, we already have the amendment. It's there in the immigration law. Go ahead and use it. And actually say, don't tell me that it can't be even, and forgive if this sounds belittling, can't tell me that we can have a garbage man or a receptionist and hopefully some even more prestigious jobs. You can't tell me that we don't have jobs that we can actually put that can be for Caymanians only.
All right. In listening to you, I mean, I looked at the two devices and, the technology is there. And I was conscious to try not to because of what I said earlier, but the importance of being able to access them to not deny whatever voice is coming in through that channel, right? But me being how I have been trained, if I'm talking to you, I need to be attentive. I need to listen to understand, not just to respond. I need to show you, the respect and pay attention, right? Give you my undivided attention.
But see, like that, just so you know, I don't get offended.
No, I understand.
I saw the same thing in politics. And again, this is where I think politicians get beat up unnecessarily, because you'll have politicians in parliament, and granted, some of them may be slacking, but you'll find them on their phone. But you'll say to the public, but it's probably because one of you are texting them. And if they don't answer you, it'll probably be the same proverbial you, who's going to say, they get in there, the rich and rich, and they can't answer the phone.
All right. So listening to what you just shared and recognizing that I think it comes down to us, the collective us, that we have to be engaged, informed, and involved, in particular as voters. Let's take the last thing. You talk about jobs for Caymanians, and I understand, and again, I would invite people to assist for clarity, so that we have comprehension, so that we are absolutely assured and that we know what we know. You would need to be Caymanian and to have a grandmother connection, just to put it in simple parlance, in order to be eligible to qualify as being able to stand for election and being voted into the House. Is that your understanding?
Well, I mean, I think that, again, we don't even have to debate it, because you get Caymanians being defined clearly within immigration law and within the election law itself, right?
Right.
And if you want to discuss it further, I would just have to take the hermit clause again and simply say to you that in the absence of being able to read it, I can't say I can comment on it further.
No, fair enough. I would believe, and I've done this consciously up until today's Thursday, up until Tuesday, because of comments people have made.
Sure.
That there is this belief still that is still the practice. If you are going to be able to stand for election and to be elected to the House, as they call it, Legislative Assembly, but now it's the House of Parliament, you need to have at least a grammar connection. I'm told by one person only, but this person is a person of significant knowledge and in my mind, understands things. That's not the case anymore. That's not true, right? So much so that alleged by others that prompted the question, well, that is now, not only not so, but it's been removed or it's in the process of being removed. I want to know. And so I've asked Mr. Howell for the last year and change. It's an email. Can you clarify this? Because I don't have an answer. I can read what's there, but I don't know if that's the practice. Now, let's make it even more potentially inflammatory and create division. We're being told, the UK is going to bring about change in legislation to allow its British nationals to be able to stand for election. Then by extension, those who came on status can and whichever. Some have said, well, wait a minute, if I'm eligible to be a voter, an elector, why can't I also be eligible to be standing for election? Right? Not saying that to add fuel to the fire, to get into conjecture.
With me, you can add as much fuel to the fire.
No, exactly. Nor to be responsible in reporting innuendo rumors, nothing. But it's about the discussions that we are having privately. Some are very adamant about their perspective, vehemently opposed to this. Some are very strong proponents of it, right? But we're having that privately. Let's have it publicly.
Dwayne, let me just second your motion.
Susan, be the speaker.
when you talk about the UK again, I want to stress that I'm not talking about UK citizens running around there trying to pay bills and don't even perhaps know where the Cayman Islands is. Okay, good.
Okay.
I'm talking particularly about the government, in particular the Foreign and Commonwealth Office, etc.
Right.
I want you to understand that big countries, big governments. If you look at the Panama Canal, just as you use the US, this took place over a series of administrations. We are talking about a country, for example, like United States, saying, well, let's see if we can provoke a little war between this one and that one, and now we end up with Panama and Colombia, and now I can go ahead and dig a canal. And I say the same thing. When we were in office, and we took office in 2009, the secretary at the time, Mr. Chris Bryant, wrote us a letter telling our government, because as far as I am concerned, speaking quite frankly, they thought that the Cayman Islands was in such a state of financial upheaval that this would be a perfect and opportune time to go ahead and do it. And they wanted us to implement a 2% property tax. Well, I didn't have to go to law school on Fridays. I didn't have to have a big math class to figure out that that's
you
not going to...
You are listening to Radio Cayman, the voice...
That wasn't going to be anything that was going to be beneficial to Caymanians. So our government did not support it. But what I want people to understand is those things have not gone away. They still want it. When you talk about the citizenship in terms of UK citizens and so on being able to run, or individuals who have certain tenure here, that discussion was taking place. I remember at the Rooster, when Rooster was on Walker's Road and Barry Quappe was actually hosting the program, we talked about that. And all those things haven't gone away. So for any Cayman who's there and thinking otherwise, if we don't fight adamantly, you'll be paying property tax soon. And definitely that will be the situation in terms of who can run for office.
So as you go into the news, let me just add to what you shared. When we hear what you said, thank you for clarifying. We're talking about the government in the UK, not the citizen. But when we're talking about British citizens, we probably should ensure that when we look at people who are not Caymanian, that we don't just say, well, it's just name. It's all non-Caymanian. So English, Jamaican, wherever you're from. If one can be eligible to stand for election, so can and should the others. Or if one can't, then none should, right? Because if you're not Caymanian, then therefore you're not Caymanian. But we better take responsibility for what we do and say. After the break, join us. We'll take a call. Stay tuned.
Today's biggest news.
Radio Cayman. Your voice, your choice. Local, regional, international. This is Headlines from Radio Cayman's newsroom.
Today's biggest news.
The police often receive parking complaints from communities where vehicles are blocking the public roadway and making it unsafe for pedestrians and motorists to safely pass. When officers conduct inquiries, it is revealed there is often higher occupancy at the corresponding tenanted properties than parking allows for on the lot. This results in spillover of vehicles onto the roadside. As part of the RCIP's holiday campaign, Winter Guardian, patrols will be targeting communities to assess parking complaints and will issue parking infringements to anyone blocking public roadways. Good afternoon once again. I'm Dion Anglin with your headlines and news elsewhere. The University of Wisconsin has approved a controversial deal which limits the number of diversity roles in its schools in exchange for staff raises and building projects. Regents approved the deal, pushed by the Republican-controlled state legislature on Wednesday evening. The deal, worth $800 million, freezes new diversity hires through 2026 and restructures 43 existing roles. But the agreement has been criticized by the state's governor. And a 17-year-old British boy from Oldham who went missing in Spain in 2017 has been found in France, authorities say. Alex Batty was found in the town of Revel, east of Toulouse, early on Wednesday morning. The family had confirmed the teenager's identity. Alex has been missing for 6 years after going on holiday with his mother and grandfather. That's a wrap of your headlines. I'm Dion Anglin.
Today's biggest news.
Radio K-Man.
Your voice, your choice.
Local, regional, international. This is Headlines from Radio K-Man's newsroom.
Today's biggest news.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners' participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, welcome back and thanks for joining us, and thanks to Mr. Ellio Solomon, for those who've messaged and those who are listening. I can't say we. Let me speak. I don't say that this is necessarily a light conversation, but it was consciously crafted on my part, an extended invitation to Mr. Solomon, because I like people who are willing to think about what they're saying and to say what they think. And thank you for willingly doing that all these years, right? So maybe pass across publicly in the studio again. You'll come out of your hermit shell and you'll bring somebody else along and we have more discussion.
Anything is possible.
Anything. Okay, all right. Well, what were we talking about during the break? What were we going to say now? Or shall I just ask?
Yeah, you have to ask because
no problem, man. No problem.
I get lost.
You know what? That's why I take my brothers with me, because they can navigate.
Yeah.
I just go along for the ride. But in the idea, so I wrote down, maybe we'll talk about immigration reform, and I put in the bracket work permits and the like. And I don't want people.
But I can definitely tell you that prior to the break, we were talking about jobs for Cayman's, and I'm inclined to believe you might have had some question in that direction, but I'm not 100% sure.
Fair enough. And can I say this, because I believe you would allow me to speak, and you'd agree with this. This is not about anti-anybody. This is not about hating anyone. This is not about anything other than bringing us together and recognizing the importance, right? We know that it's said in Cayman, we need work permits for that because Caymanians don't want to do that. Listen to the international news. Let's just take Europe. It's the same thing whether in the UK or in France, that their media is reporting why they have people from other jurisdictions coming in to do the jobs because their French nationals don't want to do the jobs either. Right? It's the same mindset, same narrative being crafted, true or false, right?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I definitely say it's true. I mean, the thing of it is that as the caveat that you just given there, people will tend to take the position that if you're saying that, you're against foreigner. Trust me when I tell you, as I've said before, I have foreign nationals, if you like, many of them in my family. Yeah. I've had one foreign national say to me, for example, that's in my family. She says, I never had a problem getting a job until I actually got Cayman status. And honestly, that's what she told me.
Yep.
But so, and that's from her perspective.
Yep.
I believe that, and there's another one. When you hear them, they'll tell Caymanians, well, I'm not sure you should get this job because you should really travel and get some kind of global experience. But let me just tell you something. I travel a lot, especially with the government. You're in China, Hong Kong, Sri Lanka, you name it, right? Yeah. And when let's say you go to Hong Kong, and you walk around and you see 3 different nationalities, or you can go to England and see the same thing. There's Cayman. You can walk around the place. There's an Indian, there's a Jamaican, there's a Filipino, there's a Chinaman, whatever it is. This is a global environment.
Yeah, man.
Okay?
Yeah, man.
So at the end of the day, it's a matter of, I am not speaking ill about foreign nationals, and I believe in having them here because you get so much benefit, the changes in the diets, the cultures. It's a good mixing pot.
Yeah.
But at the same time, we have an obligation as Caymanians to be able to sit and say, who is this home for? Who is this house for? And we set rules that's going to be beneficial to the persons who actually own this home. And if someone wants to take umbrage with me about that, then that's fine.
Yeah.
But you have to be able to secure certain jobs. And I'm going to tell you, I can't pronounce the name, but the gentleman who was in charge of Singapore. They discovered years ago that people were going...
Who was doing it? Did he call you? Or
I'm not going to try to say the name.
Yeah.
I make a fool of myself.
Yeah, well.
I know when to stop,
So you're not just tall.
So, bottom line of it is that that discovery was very simple.
Yeah.
When these people did not own a part of this country,
they
vandalized it, they destroyed it. With the greatest of respect to the late, what's the gentleman name? Mr. Bernard Water. I remember being on the talk show, and he would call sometimes when I would be on my soapbox. And he thought that I was complaining too much. He would call, Ellio. I say, yes, Mr. Bernard. He says, Ellio, the sun is still shining, Ellio. That was to tell me to stop. But then he had his days that he didn't get to hear me in the soapbox enough because he would call in and make it very clear. He said, Ellio, let me just tell you something. I want you to understand, this is a big man here now.
Yeah.
He's passed away now, but it's a big man.
Mr.
I had a
Bernard.
lot of respect for him.
It's amazing. Yeah, man.
Okay, and he would call the talk show and he would say, Ellio, if we can't get this country right, I'd rather burn it down. So I'm saying to you, this is a mature individual, responsible person, citizen of the
highly
country.
respected.
But showing you the gravity how he felt.
Yeah.
And so when a person doesn't have that sense of ownership in the country and they're going to sit by and watch and feel that every promotion that's being done, every raise of pay that's being done, even though I'm doing the same job, people get enough of that after a while.
Yeah.
And you're going to end up with an issue. Okay, and I continue to see there was a lot of. When I look at some of these ideas that I came with, honestly, it reminds me of Mr. Bush, his statement, and I get beat up for quoting him too. But I don't believe in unlike some people, I don't believe in quoting and don't giving some respect to the person who gave it to me. But he would have that saying that they hate the neighbor but want to ride the bicycle. Well, I feel like that sometimes when I come to my ideas, right? Like the pension one, not good enough for you to call and say, let me get your opinion, Ellio, or let me mention your name on the floor of the house, but I'll happily ride your bicycle, happily take your idea. And that's fine. But here's what I want to say. The things like the jobs for Caymanians only, the things like the issue for housing and a myriad other ones, they need to be done.
Yeah.
Especially now that Caymanians are officially reaching the conclusion that we are now in that position, in a minority position. I watch it in the school chat.
Yeah.
People talking about our culture and the foreigners being here. We need to fix that problem ahead of time before we have an issue.
And as we take this call, I'll piggyback on what you shared in that those of us, I'm almost at times inclined to reference one or two people who are not Caymanian, whose love and respect for this place is sometimes greater than some of our own.
Absolutely.
And because of them, right, I am encouraged to be a greater champion. I love this country even more, if that's even possible.
Thank you. Thank you for raising that.
Yeah.
If you don't mind, let me jump in because I completely agree with you.
Yeah.
And I've always had a little saying, and I remember saying this to my wife many times. I said, listen, I would rather see the foreign national that come here with all her bags.
Yeah.
They've come here to stay. They've come here to make a home. Even so many people I know, when you talked about South Sound earlier, some of them same people that really call this country their own. Yeah. And you can see them fighting every day for it.
Yeah, man.
But yet you see the Caymanian who born here not doing it. So I'm not drawing that differentiation.
No.
At the end of the day, I'm saying, if it's that same person there that came from the Canada, whatever, you're Caymanian, you're taking ownership, you're acting like this is your own and you're working to protect it.
Yeah, man.
Bottom line, those persons have to get some respect.
You and I have many of them in our lives, and I know I can say, as you'd agree, they made our lives better because they love this country as much, sometimes more than some of us. I may share something else, but we do have this. We have a caller joining us.
Yeah.
Welcome. Thanks for calling.
Good afternoon, gentlemen. This is Lisa Prendergast. How are you all doing today?
Hey, Miss Lisa. Good afternoon. How are you?
Good. Great show.
Thank you.
I want to say, first of all, Ellio, I want to thank you, and my hat come off to you, and I give you the credit for starting to give people life back when you asked about taking their break with the pensions. That helped a lot of people. Some people were sick. It helped foreign people as well. But you do get the credit for that. I also give credit to Mr. Bush when he stood on the floor and talked about how Caymanians are hurting. Now, I'm calling about a few subjects, and I'm going to try to talk as fast as I can because I know I don't have a lot of time, but I'm calling on a couple of subjects. The first one I'm going to raise is about the pensioners. I just became pensionable, but I'm permanent. I did 37 years in government, and I got hurt. I had 2 surgeries, and I'm facing 2 more because I found it in May that I have a spinal injury between my L4 and my L5.
Sorry to hear that.
And this injury happened while I was working, trying to make a chief officer look very well for the Christmas. And this will be my January coming. I will have my 3rd surgery, and probably in the summer, then they'll go into the spine in the University of Miami Hospital to fix the spinal one. But just to go back on this, I wanted to say these couple of things. If we are going to give, and I'm not sure, I don't have any information on it, but I am being told that all of the MLEs got this $1,500 on this new, the raise or whatever they gave for this one-time pension. If it's true, fine. If it's not. But if we are going to give it to those pensioners, what about the civil servants that have served the country like myself for 37 years? When I started the civil service and I came in with James and Noah Bodden, Captain Charles, the Colonel, Mr. Benson, and those people way back then, okay? Those are the people that really worked for this country and really cared for our people, okay? So we're going to give it to the MLAs, and I don't believe that MLAs should be having any pension because a lot of them are already millionaires, okay? I believe that the civil servants, that should be reserved strictly for the civil servants. Number 2, there's a lot of bullying going on in the civil service. I am a victim of it because the conversation that I had was twisted and what was said was not correct. There was no way to correct it. But when I went to my HR department, when I went to my bosses, and when I went to the deputy governor, the eyes were blinded. My book will be written, and I will stand on the next election platform for Wayne, Panton, or anyone else that is serving with them to let everyone know this can never happen. I am saying to all of the Caymanian people today, if you have a child in the civil service, if he is 50 years old or he's just 20 years old, I want mothers, I want fathers, I want grandparents, I want everybody to stand up for your child. If your child is being victimized viciously, now we got troublemakers because we have many of them that have been fired from the private sector and they come in and they are troublemakers. They were thieves in my ministry, stealing groceries, stealing stuff. We're giving chance and chance after again. But yes, they were not considered the bullies. They were not considered the bad people. I was. And why? Because I stood up and I finally said something. I went to the point. Let me tell you how bad it was. I went to the point that I wanted to hurt somebody. Okay? After serving my country for 37 years, I wanted to hurt somebody. And we see many of this happening in the United States and around the world where people go in and they take something to another level and become dark, and you wonder why. It is happening in our schools, but it's happening right in our government service, and it needs to stop because the next time it happens to someone, they are going to break. And when they break, the judges, I work with the judges in the court's office, and let me tell you something, what they did. There were many times Kipling, Mr. Schofield in the Grand Court, and many would look at people in front of them and say, you assaulted this man, you nearly killed this man. And they had their lawyers working for them. And they say, look, I'm going to find you guilty, and you deserve to spend 10 years because of what you've done. But I'm going to suspend 5. You know why? Because you tried. You went, you told them, leave you alone. You went, you reported it, they didn't listen. But because they brought you to the extent of provocation, and you retaliated, I am not going to make you be the only one that is going to suffer for this and go down and burn for it. I worked with the Judicial Department for 9 years. I saw what the judges did. I saw husband and wife coming. Husband said yes, he brought the money, he gave the wife the money. Then it ended up to be in assault, and he gave them this, and he showed his receipts, he showed stuff, and that's what the judge did. They were brought to the length of provocation. What I saw happen in the Ministry of Education in 2005 when the government came in, 6 Caymanians destroyed. We were told that we were bullies. We were told that we were traitors. We were told that we were not good enough to work for that team. Okay, I was actually mocked. My mother, the late Joyce Prendergast, who did so much community work, I was told to go to the graveyard and ask her which side I wanted to be on. My book is coming out to let you know what people and the 36% of us that we have left are going through. If that don't stop, my nonprofit organization is to help women, to stand for women. I stood with Sabrina as a civil servant. I should not have been doing that, but I had signs saying, I'm standing with you. I stand with women that, like my mother, helped created good, spreading chairs, spreading goodness, not vicious hatred and the vindictiveness and the stupidness that is going on in that civil service. We cannot create a world-class civil service when we have a deputy governor that closes his eyes and chooses who he wants to help. It cannot continue.
All right.
Sorry, hello?
Yeah,
okay.
Well, Dwayne, again, you see, you talk about, I talked earlier about the frustration.
Yeah.
And I talked about frustration that you get in the workplace, and I talked specifically about promotions and who's getting the raises, etc. And that person obviously seeks, maybe that hit a particular core. But the bottom line is that there's a lot of different things and challenges that Caymanians are actually facing out there. And we have to do whatever we can to try to remedy it. And I honestly believe, for my colleagues, let's put it that way, the persons who are now serving in office, it needs to be more than just looking pretty. It actually has to be something now about actually getting up and fulfilling the promises that you made to try to do something for Caymanians.
Okay.
And I'm hoping that can actually happen. She talked about $1,500 going to politicians. I don't think the politicians respectfully need another $1,500. I don't know if that's happening. If it is happening, I would love somebody to come. Maybe want to question them, but I don't know why.
Yeah.
I mean, they even made that change where, again, that if you lost office, this didn't happen with me, obviously, because let me just stress, at the time, Mr. Bush reduced our salaries. We didn't get a raise. Our salaries were reduced, and to now say that even if you lose the election, you get 3 months pay.
Is that still continuing? I thought it was just the last.
But I never heard of some cessation to it.
Yeah. Okay. Fair enough.
But so I don't think necessarily $1,500 is a requirement.
Let's take the final break, and Mr. Solomon, invite you to share as you wish as we close out. Stay tuned.
Are you planning a social, an office party, or event over the holiday season? Make the most of your holiday party and leave the catering to Subway. Choose from small and large sandwich platters, double meat wrap platters, and top it off with optional cookie platters for dessert. Or ask about our Subway Box to Go with the option of a 6-inch or foot-long sandwich, 1 cookie, and 1 bag of chips. Cater your holiday parties with Subway. Visit subway.ky for menu options. Subway, eat fresh.
Jingle all the way into the season of incredible savings and wish granting with Digicel. This Christmas, get 25% off your Prime Bundle plan or postpaid bill for the next 6 months. With plans featuring social data, entertainment data, and more, Digicel keeps you connected and entertained all season long. But here's the real magic. Digicel could make your Christmas wish come true. Win a prize of your choice, from getting your rent paid to a new laptop or even a brand new car. Visit a Digicel store today, where dreams come true this holiday season.
Happy holidays and Merry Christmas. 'Tis the season to be merry and healthy in the Cayman Islands. At Doctors Hospital and Integra Healthcare, we're not just a hospital and clinic with a talented group of local and international healthcare professionals. We're your partners in well-being throughout the year. So may your holidays be filled with the soothing sounds of the ocean, the embrace of good health, and a commitment to a healthier tomorrow. From all of us at Doctors Hospital and Integra Healthcare, we wish you and your loved ones happy holidays and a wonderful new year.
Reflections annual countdown to Christmas sale is on now. Complete your Christmas shopping super early this year by getting Reflections gift certificates for everyone on your list. Save 60% on all Adidas apparel. Find store-wide savings up to 60% off on tees, caps, shoes, and clothing. Selected Nike, Puma, and US Polo is 50% off. US Polo handbags. Buy one, get one at 50% off. Save on ladies' fashion jeans, 1 pair of jeans for $25 or 2 for $45. Includes Select Levi's 100% cotton tees by Johnny Cotton, 2 for $34.99. Spend $25 and be entered to win up to $500 in gift certificates. Open Monday to Thursday, 9 a.m. till 8 p.m. and Friday and Saturday, 9 to 9. Located on Shedden Road beside Mango Tree.
See yourself in reflections.
Freedom, Cayman Brack. Freedom, Little Cayman. Soft breezes, blue waters, no traffic. Unwind and rejuvenate your mind, body, and soul. Sister Island Staycations, a taste of freedom. Discover all that our sister islands have to offer.
You know, as a little girl, I dreamt of traveling to faraway places and foreign lands. I tell you what though, no more dreaming. I'm going flying with Cayman Airways. How blessed are we in the Cayman Islands to have a very own national airline? Girl, you can fly to so many international destinations without the hassle of connecting flights. On top of Jamaica, Cuba, and Honduras, you got non-stop flights from Cayman to New York, Miami, Tampa, and even Denver, Los Angeles, Panama, and child, they now have Barbados. Going to be a little cafe con leche and Hollywood Squares for this old girl.
Make your travel dreams come true with Cayman Airways, offering non-stop flights for non-stop adventures in Panama, LA, and many more places in between. For details and to book, call 949-2311, contact a travel agent, or visit CaymanAirways.com.
The offices of dermatologist Dr. Wayne Porter will be taking appointments from December 11th through the 16th at his Crew Road Clinic. Appointment slots are limited. Whether you're seeking advanced skincare, Botox, filler, cosmetic skin enhancement, or simply looking to reduce wrinkles, Dr. Porter offers a full-service dermatology and dermatological surgery practice. For more information, email dr.portercayman@gmail.com or call 949-9020 to book your appointment today. That's 946-9020. Deck the halls with beautiful furniture and decor without breaking the bank. Enter the Beacon Furniture Holiday Raffle and win big. That's right, shop at Beacon Furniture and you can be our next winner. With each purchase, customers have a chance to win $500 in Beacon cash. Don't miss out on this incredible opportunity to spruce up your home for the holidays. Join us on December 30th for the drawing at each location. 2 lucky winners will be chosen, one at our Savannah store and another at our Red Bay location. Each winner will walk away with $500 in Beacon credit. Don't wait, start shopping today. To learn more about the Beacon Furniture Holiday Raffle, visit our website beaconfurniture.ky or come by our stores. 2 locations, 32 Hearst Road, Savannah. Call 945-2348 or 386 Shamrock Road in Prospect. Call 943-2500. Good luck and happy shopping.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners' participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Thanks very much for joining us. And as we got a few minutes left, Mr. Ellio Solomon, thank you too for sitting right. And hopefully, as we see, as you said, the impassioned pleas of many because of the plights of how they're feeling, it has to make you wonder. But maybe in the new year, we can continue this dialogue because we've had it an extended time over the Christmas as we enjoy the fellowship. But thanks again, man.
Well, Dwayne, thanks again for having me on the program. Whenever you come on, we always start off like a sprint. And I don't know if we get lost.
It's a 1500.
I don't know if we get lost in the crowd or what it is, but either way, I want to thank you for inviting me on. It's always a pleasure. It's been a while.
Yeah.
And like I said, I love my people. I love my country, but I have been, and hopefully everyone will forgive me, but I have been trying my best to keep my head down. Doing a little construction, got a little farm, different things going on, like my good friend Mr. Tibbetts going to go grow some peppers or something. Yeah. But I want to thank you for inviting me on the program. Yeah. And I in closing again, I just want to say again that the pension amendment, a lot of persons benefited from it. The big vision was again that would continue into other areas of investment that would continue to increase ownership for Caymanians. I'm glad to see that the government and individuals there have picking that up and trying to carry it a little bit further.
Mhm.
And I would encourage them to do the same thing. And particularly again to the Honorable Juliana Conley and to the Honorable Dwayne Seymour, who I know was one of them being instrumental in even second the motion. Hopefully they'll be able to move things forward in terms of jobs for Cayman's only.
Mhm.
I remember when I was there with the housing, it went that we had agreed that even up to 4% of those monies, because we actually raised the stamp duty fees on properties at that time as well. And I think I could be wrong, but somewhere between 1% and 4%, some percentage of that amount of money was actually going to go towards housing as well. And there's a myriad of different things that can and should be done. I want to say to my Cayman people that we are actually now seeing officially that our numbers there are actually below. But I wouldn't want them to be disheartened. What I want them to do is to think positive for the future and look at it not just as somebody being in your yard, but as an opportunity that you can increase the ownership for yourself and for your family if we put the right people in office and get them to do the right things. Make it a case where they're going to be able to take your pensions, for example, not only give you access to be able to buy a piece of land, build a house, buy a house, pay off your mortgage, but also investing in things like your water authority and your other areas of infrastructure. And other than that, Dwayne, I want to say that, I'm thankful for all the persons out there who have been very supportive of me while my time was there in the office and who continue to be supportive. Just the other day, I was in Bank of Butterfield and some guy came up to me out of the blue and looked me in the face. Oh, man, he says, I don't know what the people are doing, why they didn't vote for you, and I miss you. And it's just always good to hear that people remember you and that they miss you.
Yeah. Stick a pin. Let me just add, perfect timing.
Perfect
One of our
time.
listeners says, afternoon, this conversation has been long overdue. I just want to say thank you to Ellio for coming on and speaking truth to power. We must stand up and be counted.
Yeah.
So to that person in the bank the other day, here's a listener who messages.
Yeah.
All right.
Absolutely. And so I would say that when I was there in office, the issue with the taxes were real. And I want people to understand it has not gone away. And I do not believe, and let me just stress again, when you end up paying property tax, it means you don't own it. It means you're renting the property. I do not believe in that. And I hear people justify it. Well, it happens in America and it happens in Canada. Well, keep it in America. Keep it in Canada. I don't want it here in Cayman, and I don't believe it should be here. And I want to just encourage our Caymanians, let's come together, like you said, Dwayne, let's improve the communication, let's improve the dialogue, but let's work together, because remember, at the end of the day, this is our boat. When it's gone and it sinks, if it does, we'll be in somebody else's country. And as they say, old people would say that you dog eat your supper. Dwayne, I want to say something as well in public, perhaps just publicly embarrass you a little bit. When I remember being, and I think you and I probably even went to school. What year did you graduate?
Boy, you really don't want to go that high.
Hey, we know how much time don't make it sound like it's the 60s. Well, anyway,
1860s?
No. But let me say this. I remember you running for office because I was extremely young and I was very inspired by you.
And you're older than me.
I'm older than you, yeah.
Just put that out there.
We're not getting into who look better, but, I'm sure you're probably better looking too. But anyway, the bottom line of it is that I was inspired the fact that you actually ran for office, because I was saying, wow, this is a young person. And I said, to actually see that you were courageous enough at the time to actually run. And I believe it's important to do that because, as I say, we should give the flowers while the person is still alive. And then in subsequent years, it was good at the time, remember, the TV broadcast, and you would see persons like the Kleins and the Ralston and them, So all these persons were inspiration, but you were one of the first because despite the unsuccessful effort at the time, and hopefully one day you might make up your mind and make a change back into the fray, who knows. But I just wanted to say that you inspired me at that point in time. And I just like equally to thank all those persons out there who have not forgotten about me and in their own way continue to encourage me and to inspire me as well. And again, starting from my mom, my dad, wife, kids, everyone, and my brothers, everyone that has actually been there for me, I want to let them know I really appreciate it and say it publicly today. I can't call all the names, but I can just generalize it that way. Family and friends, and even the persons that I don't even know that stop and say a kind word. I really greatly appreciate it. And wishing you all a Merry Christmas, and I love you, and God bless you all.
I thank you for coming on. Thank you for accepting the invitation. And thank you for your kind words, Dan. And even though I have to be conscious.
Honey lips, but honest lips.
Well, you know what? I may bore that for
as a good friend of mine.
Honey lips, but honest lips. Well, I say it differently, but I say if I can't, and the idea of being acknowledged publicly is important. Give flowers, as you said, while they can smell it, the bouquet. We are indeed our brother's keeper, and for me, public service is something that's imbued in you. There's an example you see in your parents. They call it before later. She shared, she saw her mother do good. Good follows good, Mama says, right? But you gotta be purposeful in your heart. And for me, serving when I, was a teen, it wasn't anything that you did for fame. You did it because you contribute to the community. We quote the scriptures. We talk about humility before honor. But are we honest in our endeavors? Do we have the ethics and the integrity to do right for people because it's the right thing to do? Or are we looking for the praise and the position because we want the platitudes? Right? Or are we genuine in trying to be helpful? I've said, and it may be becoming increasingly political, every single Caymanian who's eligible to become an elector, a voter, should get registered to vote. If you choose on that day, whether it's a referendum or a general election or a by-election or whatever, to participate, you have that day the option. But if you're not registered, then you can't participate, even if you want. If I might, go one step further. Consider being a candidate, being involved with someone else's political ambitions. That's the only how we can preserve and promote a democracy and to ensure that we, by participation, can influence the agenda. I really appreciate your kind words. It may cause some people to look, suspiciously upon my endeavors, but it's all about being purposeful and deliberately.
No, absolutely.
Trying to help.
I will state that in my time, I remember being on the talk show. There were some times that I would, let's put it this way, harsh on persons, and I don't think that untruthful necessarily, but harsh. And sometimes it's because I felt that I had to be, but all of us have a role to play in this country, every single one of us, and we have to take it very seriously. Don't make it about personalities. Make it that we're trying to get the best persons for the right job. And there's a lot of good people in there and a lot of good people who were in there. And let's just get the right people in there so that we can actually take our country back.
Let's focus on the principle, not the pettiness. Let's focus on the policy, not the person, right? And if I might borrow from what you shared, each of us, whether we're here generational, whether we've been here for decades, this is our home now.
I just showed up with a lot of suitcases.
Let us ensure that what we do, from the way we put out the garbage to the way we participate in the annual cleanups or the community endeavors, if we don't love, respect, value, and appreciate where we are, let's rethink that and ask why. If it's just because of the safety element, because it's better than your crime-ridden country, or it's a financial advantage because you're making good money, let's rethink why we're here. Thankfully, like you, many of us have foreign nationals, whether they're married into our families, whether they're close friends, who love this place, who by the example. And after Hurricane Ivan, my brothers had a huge bus. We picked up a number of individuals to help them to get to the airport to catch the charter flights to send their families. There was this gentleman, and but for his accent, I would not have known that he was not Caymanian, even though I know it.
Right.
We put our aging parents and our family members who needed medical attention. They got on the flight, and he said to me, "Okay, let's get back to rebuilding our country." That's the love that many have for this country, whether they're generational or otherwise. And I say that understanding two things. Tomorrow, Mr. Wasi will finish his show for a well-deserved break. I'll do the same. Mr. Singh and Ms. Miller will host. But let's come together and continue this conversation as family and friends as we enjoyed, what the Christmas food and festivities will bring. And let's understand that together we can be purposeful. Let's be deliberate and conscious and united. And let's hold each other to be accountable as we accept responsibility. I am serious in today's discussion, and I think a man of your intellect and attitude was well poised to accept the invitation. So thank you.
Thank you for dragging me out. I appreciate it.
I appreciate it. All right, Miss Susan, we have a request. Play any song you want because it's going to be really good. And to our listeners,
we didn't sing our way out today.
Want to do that? Go ahead. Tomorrow.
Well, I don't know. Another day.
Be blessed, my friends. God's willing, join me start tomorrow. Come back for a talk today or after the midday news.
Talk Today is brought to you by Subway, open 24 hours in Countryside, Anderson Square in Georgetown, and Centennial Towers in West Bay. And by the Ministry of District Administration. Explore your history, explore your land, explore your sister islands. And Cayman Airways. Call them on 949-2311 to book your nonstop flights to Los Angeles and Panama. And now, Barbados. And Digicel, Cayman's bigger, better network. And Doctors Hospital. Peace of mind is important when life happens. Doctors Hospital. Always there for you. Call 949-6066.
Well, hello there and Merry Christmas.
Hello, I'm Loxley Banks. It's Christmas time. Feel those beautiful Christmas breezes. Merry Christmas to you and your family and all your loved ones from your yesteryear musical. And remember to keep Christ in Christmas.
Bells will be ringing